Chapter 441. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the group of people. From their attire, it was obvious that they were from the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Seeing the fearful expressions on the faces of the people around them, other than the Heavenly Tiger Hall, no one else had such power. We just entered the city not long ago. Is something the matter? Sima Yuming spoke on behalf of everyone. It's like this. When you enter the city, each of you will have to pay an entrance fee of 1,000 low-grade crystals, and each of you will have to pay a protection fee of 500 mid-grade crystals. You have a total of 13 people, so 13,000 low-grade crystal stones, and 6,500 mid-grade crystal stones. The man in the lead said, "Hiss." When the surrounding people heard that man's words, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. 12,000 low-grade crystals, and 6,000 mid-grade crystals. This was enough for a normal spirit master to live for several months. Why should we hand it over? Sima Yuming said. When we entered the city, nobody said that we had to pay an entrance fee, and I didn't see any soldiers standing guard there to ask us for it. Isn't it unreasonable to ask for an entrance fee now? What do you mean by reasonable? Our Heavenly Tiger Hall's words are the law, the man said. Besides, the entrance fee has always been charged. It's normal that you don't know about it since it's your first time here. Indeed, Hong City had always collected entrance fees. However, because the Heavenly Tiger Hall's entrance fee was too expensive, no one wanted to be bullied by them. Hence, the number of people visiting Hong City had decreased over the past 2 years. When the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall saw that no one was coming, they decided to withdraw their guards. They would only receive the news when someone came in and collect the city fees and protection fees. Since we didn't collect the entrance fee when we entered the city, we shouldn't talk about it now. As for the protection fee, we don't need your protection. Please go back. Sima Yuming refused as expected. Don't they have crystal stones? He did. But he didn't want to give it to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Furthermore, they did not expect to get along well with the Heavenly Tiger Hall. After all, Zhou Shurun had left with Sima Yue. Now that Zhou Shurun was dead and she was still alive, the Heavenly Tiger Hall would definitely pin the blame on her. In any case, it was only a matter of time before they shed all pretense of cordiality. There was no need to compromise now. When the people in the main hall of the inn heard what Sima Yuming said, they were all shocked. Did they know who they were talking to? Refusing to pay the city entrance fee and protection fee had serious consequences. The members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall were rejected so decisively that they could not react in time. Once they were sure that they had been rejected, they immediately flew into a rage and raised their voices. What did you say? What did I say? Are you deaf or stupid? Sima Yuming glanced at him and said lightly, "Ha ha ha." Although they were afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the surrounding people could not help but laugh when they heard his words. After being glared at by the Heavenly Tiger Hall members, everyone lowered their heads. However, it seemed like they were trying to hold back their laughter. You dare to oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Are you tired of living? The man in the lead shouted. Men, these people are disrespectful to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. They must be spies sent from other places. Capture them all. When the surrounding people heard his words, they couldn't help but roll their eyes in their hearts. How long had it been since an outsider came to Tianhu Ridge? Who would want to be a spy in a small place like yours? Why don't you take a look at yourself and see if there's anything that's worth it for others to covet? However, they only dared to think about it and not say it out loud. They did not have the guts to oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Sima Yue looked around. These people were just beginner divine kings. To outsiders, this group was not bad. However, if they wanted to deal with her, they were still lacking. Aside from Sang Muyu, the others were all true divine kings. They even outnumbered them by a few. When they saw that the Heavenly Tiger Hall members were really going to capture them, the people in the main hall quickly ran out. Even the shopkeeper and the waiter fled. Capture them all. The man in the lead roared again. Those people took out ropes and prepared to tie them up. Bang dash, the person who was near Sima Yue was sent flying with a kick. He landed on the table and broke it. Little Roar was lying on Sima Yue's shoulder. When he saw her attack, he shook his head and sighed in his heart. Ever since she regained her memories, Yu had become more and more violent. You still dare to retaliate? All of you attacked together. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members attacked together. Sima Yuming and the others naturally did not stay idle. They all waved their fists and attacked. The inn was not big. If they used spirit energy, they would be injured as well. That was why they could only fight with their fists. However, their fists were no match for Fatty Chu. He punched them one by one. Very quickly, those people were all thrown out. Since we've already entered the city, we naturally won't pay the entrance fee. We don't need your protection, so don't disturb us. Please leave. Sima Yuming said. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members crawled up from the ground. They looked at the people in the room and shouted, "Just you wait. Those who dare to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall will not have a good ending. Let's go and report to the Vice Envoy." Those who were watching the show did not think that the outcome would be like this. When they saw the Heavenly Tiger Hall members leave, they could not help but cheer in their hearts. How many years had it been? No one had dared to beat up the Heavenly Tiger Hall members. However, there were also people who urged Sima Yu and the others to leave quickly. You should leave quickly. The Heavenly Tiger Hall members have never been taken advantage of. Now that you've beaten them up, I'm afraid that they will bring more powerful people. You should leave before they come. Leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape. Fatty Chu and the others laughed, saying, "Since we dared to beat them up, we naturally won't be afraid of their revenge." Everyone saw that they were all divine kings. Hearing their confident words, they could not help but shake their heads. These people were too young. They did not know how big the world was. "Innkeeper, give us 13 rooms." Sima Yuchi said. The innkeeper was in the crowd. He was in a difficult position. These people had offended the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If he let them stay here, wouldn't he be causing trouble for himself? Sima Yu looked at the innkeeper and waved her hand. 100 middle-ranked crystals appeared on the counter. She looked at the innkeeper and asked, "Do you have a room?" When the people outside saw her casually take out 100 middle-ranked crystals, they knew that it was not that they did not have money. They really did not want to pay the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When the innkeeper saw the middle-ranked crystals, his eyes shone. He quickly walked over and kept the crystals, saying, 13 rooms. Yes, yes. Waiter, why aren't you bringing them in? When the waiter saw the way his boss was acting, he smiled and said, "Dear guests, please follow me. I will bring you to your rooms." Sima Yu followed the waiter. Before she left, she looked at the innkeeper, who was happily hugging the crystals. Her eyes flashed with a strange light. Chapter 442. Hee hee. The shopkeeper held the crystal stones and smiled foolishly, causing everyone to shake their heads. This shopkeeper loved money too much. He even dared to offend the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Wasn't he afraid of being captured by the Heavenly Tiger Hall as well? Only Sima Yue and the others could see that this inn was not an ordinary inn. The innkeeper was also not an ordinary innkeeper. Even if the shopkeeper loved money, he would not lose his life for money. The reason why he dared to accept Sima Yue and the rest was because he was not afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Moreover, Sima Yue could not sense the shopkeeper's strength, which meant that his level was not low. It might even be beyond her imagination. She was not the only one who thought of this. Sima Yulin and Sima Yuran were also deep in thought. "This is your room. These are the keys. If you need anything, just call us," the waiter said as he handed the keys to Sima Yuming, then went downstairs. Sima Yuming distributed the keys to everyone, and everyone returned to their rooms to rest after receiving the keys. Sima Yue walked around the house and went downstairs. When the shopkeeper saw her, he smiled at her. Sima Yue walked over and placed a bag of middle-grade crystals on the table. When the shopkeeper saw the crystal, he immediately asked with a smile, "Is there anything you need?" 50 mid-grade crystals for some information, Sima Yue said directly. The shopkeeper looked at the crystals, then looked at Sima Yue and said, "I don't know much about the Heavenly Tiger Hall. If you give me such a huge reward, I will feel embarrassed. I don't want news from the Heavenly Tiger Hall," Sima Yue said. She already knew about the Heavenly Tiger Hall from Zhou Shuren. There was no need for her to find out more. Then what do you want to know? The shopkeeper asked. I want to know what's happening outside the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Sima Yue said. The shopkeeper's eyes flashed. And he said, how would I know what's going on outside the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Shopkeeper isn't from the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. How could he not know what's going on outside? Sima Yue said with a smile, not giving him a chance to refuse. If the shopkeeper doesn't want these mid-grade crystals, then I won't make things difficult for you. As she spoke, she wanted to take back the crystal stones, but before she could touch the bag, a big hand took the bag away. Speak, what do you want to ask? The shopkeeper said. Sima Yue looked at the shopkeeper's reluctant expression and smiled, asking, I would like to know if there are any other ways to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge other than the teleportation array in the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Yes, the shopkeeper said. What is it? Sima Yue asked. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is very small. If you take a flying beast, you can get out in a few months. The shopkeeper replied. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. What kind of answer was that? Are there no other teleportation formations? She asked. No. The shopkeeper shook his head. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is very remote compared to other places, and there aren't many cultivation resources. Those big powers aren't willing to come here. Then why are you here? The shopkeeper paused and said, I was asked to come here. Who knew that not long after I arrived, the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down. I was too lazy to take a flying beast, so I stayed behind. The Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down? Sima Yue was stunned. Yes. The shopkeeper looked at Sima Yue and said, You want to use this teleportation array to get out, right? Sima Yue nodded. They had come to the great city to use the teleportation array. Now that it was broken, how were they going to get out? You guys are really daring. You wanted to use their teleportation array, and even beat up their people. The shopkeeper said, What can we do? Who asked them to be so greedy? Sima Yue shrugged, as if it wasn't her fault. Where does the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array lead to? Flower City, a place that's bigger than the Heavenly Tiger Hall. The shopkeeper said. Above Flower City is Cloud City, and a little bigger is Innumerable Green City. Innumerable Green City, and a few other cities are the central regions of the state. Sima Yue saw that the shopkeeper was very familiar with these places, and guessed that this shopkeeper wasn't like what he said. However, she didn't care about his private matters. Do you know how to get to the central region? The shopkeeper didn't expect Sima Yue to ask about the central region, and said, The central region and the 7 southern prefectures don't have a good relationship. They rarely interact with each other. But there must be a teleportation array to get there, right? Sima Yue asked. There are. But those few powers can't just casually enter. The shopkeeper said. Tell me which powers have it. Sima Yue felt more and more that this shopkeeper wasn't an ordinary person. He knew too much about the outside world. The closest one is, of course, the Innumerable Green Palace. The shopkeeper said proudly. The Innumerable Green Palace is the biggest power in this region, and they manage the land and water here. If you want to go to the central region, you can only go through the Innumerable Green Palace. What about the other powers? There are a few other powers like the Innumerable Green Palace, but if you want to go there, the journey will take you a long time. Without a teleportation array, it will take you at least a few years to get to the other places. The shopkeeper said. But teleportation arrays aren't something that can be found anywhere. This isn't the central region, where there are many teleportation arrays. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. He had been to the central region. Why would such a person stay here? No matter what the reason was, she believed that it wasn't because the teleportation array was broken, and he didn't want to ride a flying beast. After that, Sima Yue asked the shopkeeper for more information about Flower City and Innumerable Green Palace. The shopkeeper told her everything in detail, but he increased the price twice. As Sima Yue understood the information, she was even more convinced that this shopkeeper wasn't an ordinary person. Shopkeeper, if you want to leave with us in the future, I will charge you a high price. Sima Yue said with a smile. It wasn't easy to earn money from her, especially from this shopkeeper. If she didn't pay him, He wouldn't sell her any information. 200 middle-grade spirit stones wasn't much to her. But she didn't like being taken advantage of. The shopkeeper knew that Sima Yu was saying that the price was too high. However, he didn't take her words seriously when she said that she would leave with them. Although he had stayed here long enough, he had been thinking about leaving recently. Sima Yue turned around and prepared to go upstairs. Just as she turned around, she saw a woman leading a group of people in from outside. These people were the Heavenly Tiger Hall people that Sima Yue and the rest had thrown out. Hall Master, they are the ones who didn't pay the entrance fee and protection fee, and even threw us out. She is one of them. The Heavenly Tiger Hall people pointed at Sima Yue and said. Sima Yue looked at the Heavenly Tiger Hall people and thought to herself that they were pretty fast. It had only been a while, and they had already called for reinforcements. The woman who was addressed as Hall Master wasn't angry. She looked at Sima Yue from head to toe, and her perverted look made her frown. Chapter 443. Tisk Tsk. What a beautiful girl. Zhou Shiyu stared at Sima Yue almost drooling. Zhou Shiyu. When Sima Yue heard the name, she took a closer look at her face. She did look similar to Zhou Shuren. How dare you? How dare you call our hall master by his name? The man who had been beaten up roared. Zhou Shiyu waved her hand to stop that person from shouting. She looked at Sima Yue and smiled. You know me. What's your relationship with Zhou Shuren? Sima Yue asked. He's my brother. Zhou Shiyu smiled and said. Brat, you even know my brother. It seems like we're fated to meet. Sima Yue rolled her eyes in her heart. This was called fate. However, it was indeed fate. He had just killed her brother, and she had delivered herself to his doorstep. I don't want to have any fate with you. How can that be? Zhou Shiyu looked at Sima Yue angrily. I've already taken a liking to you. I'm going to make you my 18th husband. How could we meet if we weren't fated to meet? This Zhou Shiyu was originally quite good-looking and had quite the charm. Her anger made many people's hearts itch. Today, when she returned to the hall, she saw her subordinates beaten up badly. She wanted to scold them for being useless and punish them. Then she would send someone else to deal with Sima Yue and the others. However, she was told that there were a few good-looking men among them. Therefore, she personally sent someone to deal with this matter. She didn't expect to see the man she couldn't take her eyes off as soon as she came in. Her heart instantly flew away. Sima Yue could not help but feel disgusted at the mention of her 18 husbands. She said, I have no interest in a middle-aged woman like you. A middle-aged woman? Zhou Shiyu's face fell. She looked like she was in her 30s. Because her strength was growing slowly, she was slowly showing signs of aging. What she hated the most was being called old. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit, Zhou Shiyu said. For people like you who openly oppose the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we can punish you on the spot. Even if you don't think for yourself, you have to think for your companions. Using you in exchange for their freedom, this is a good deal. I don't want to accept a toast, much less a forfeit. If you don't want the Heavenly Tiger Hall to lose any more face, you'd better take your men and leave. Sima Yue said indifferently. She didn't care about the Heavenly Tiger Hall at all. What an arrogant brat. Zhou Shiyu had never been spoken to like that in all these years. She scolded. Men, arrest her for me. Once we've caught her, we'll execute the others on the spot. Yes, Hall Master. 2 guards came out from behind Zhou Shiyu and answered. Oh no, we're going to fight again. If you break anything, you'll have to pay for my losses. The innkeeper cried out when he saw the situation and ran out of the inn. Sima Yue glanced at the innkeeper. She didn't see any fear in his eyes. Instead, she saw a trace of excitement. Could it be that he had run out like this the last time they fought? Yue. Sima Yulin and Bei Gong Tang ran down from above and stood beside Sima Yue, facing off against the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When she saw Sima Yulin, Zhou Shiyu's eyes lit up. This guy was also handsome. However, when she saw Bei Gong Tang, her expression turned ugly. She pointed at Bei Gong Tang and said, Arrest these 2 guys. Kill this girl after she's disfigured. Hall Master, this girl looks pretty good. Why don't you give her to our brothers? A vulgar guy said with a smile. That's fine too. However, You have to disfigure her face after you've used her. I don't like her face, Zhou Shiyu said. Thank you, Hall Master, for your reward. The guys behind all smiled vulgarly. They looked at Bei Gong Tang as if they were stripping her clothes off. Wei Ziqi and the others came down from above. When they heard what the Heavenly Tiger Hall's men said, they were all furious and filled with killing intent. Sima Yue laughed coldly, saying, You really are born from the same parents. You and your brother are just as disgusting. Can we kill these people directly? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang were their goddesses. How could they allow their goddesses to be desecrated like this? Yes, Sima Yue said. Okay. With Sima Yue's permission, Fatty Chu rushed forward with his fists clenched before the Heavenly Tiger Hall's men could do anything. Little Tu was even more furious and joined the battle with red eyes. Although he was young, because he had the blood of a spirit beast, his battle prowess was not low. Who told you to have designs on my sister? Who told you to have designs on my brother? I'll beat you to death, Little Tu said as he fought. After a few punches, those people were knocked unconscious. After that, he looked for the next target to attack. When the shopkeeper outside saw Little Tu, his eyes flashed with surprise and interest. The Heavenly Tiger Hall's men realized that the opponent's body was stronger and knew that they had no advantage in close combat. They all flew outside. Sima Yulin and the others chased after them. The people on the streets quickly dispersed, in case they were implicated. Sima Yue directly faced Zhou Shiyu. Because they could not fly, they could only fight on the streets. This was the first time that Sima Yue had fought someone head-on, since she had advanced to the divine rank. When she had killed Zhou Shurun, they had ganged up on him, unlike now. Zhou Shiyu was at the peak of the beginner divine king rank. She was slightly higher than Sima Yue. However, because she liked to do things between men and women, her body was weak and her battle prowess was not strong. Zhou Shiyu took out a whip. Sima Yue recognized that it was a top-ranked saint tool. It was close to the divine rank. If she used it to attack, the power would double. Slap. Zhou Shiyu's whip was laced with spirit energy. It created a gust of wind in the air. Sima Yue did not dare to take it head-on. She dodged to the side, avoiding the whip. At the same time, she turned Ling Long into a whip in the spirit pagoda. Zhou Shiyu saw that Sima Yue's reaction was fast. She dodged her whip and her hand shook. The whip chased after her again. Sima Yue happened to be forced to the wall. Seeing the whip chasing after her, she ran 2 steps towards the wall and did a backflip to avoid it. Do you think only you have a whip? She said as she took out Ling Long. She threw out a whip, and it tangled with Zhou Shiyu's whip. Sima Yue realized that after reaching the divine rank, spirit tools were much more useful to them. This was because their attacks with spirit tools could double their attack power. This was the first time that she had used Ling Long as a divine tool. Previously, she had used pots and pans, daggers and hammers. Of course, in everyone's hearts, the one that left the deepest impression was still the frying pan. Chapter 444. Zhou Shiyu did not expect Sima Yue to have a spiritual weapon that was not inferior to hers. She moved and realized that her whip was completely suppressed by Sima Yue's whip. You first. Just like that, the two of them faced each other with the whip between them. I didn't expect you to be so strong at such a young age, Zhou Shiyu said. But I don't know how good your whip is. After saying that, she exerted some force, and the whip moved flexibly, separating itself from Sima Yue's whip. She then lashed out again, but the whip seemed to come alive as it attacked Sima Yue from all directions. Sima Yue had to admit that Zhou Shiyu's whip was very good. It looked like a set of whip techniques that could make the opponent unable to dodge and increase the power of the whip. However, her whip was not weak either. Although she had never practiced whip techniques, she had the advantage of the fact that Ling Long was an ancient artifact. It had a spirit and could freely change its length. It was simply a cheating artifact. With Ling Long's flexibility, Sima Yue was able to force Zhou Shiyu to dodge. Towards the end, Zhou Shiyu could not even use her whip, and could only whip randomly. Zhou Shiyu was struck by the whip, and a long gash appeared on her clothes. Her flesh was badly mutilated. If it was just an ordinary whip, it definitely wouldn't have such an effect. Pa! Another whip hit, and Zhou Shiyu's back was almost exposed. How is this possible? Zhou Shiyu was hit twice in a row, and was shocked. Her whip technique was already close to the level of an earth-level spiritual technique. How could she miss her opponent and be whipped twice? She saw that Sima Yoyue's whip seemed to be swinging casually. There was no whip technique to speak of, but the whip was very tricky. It could always dodge her whip and get close to her body. Do you know where your brother is now? Sima Yue suddenly asked. Zhou Shiyu's heart skipped a beat upon hearing her words. For the past 2 days, she had been looking for her brother for something. But she couldn't get in touch with him no matter how hard she tried. She sent someone to investigate, but there was still no news. You know about my brother? Of course I do. Sima Yue smiled evilly. Because your brother was with me for the last few days of his life. Zhou Shiyu's body trembled as she used her whip to shake Sima Yue away. She looked at her and asked, "What did you do to my brother?" "Kill him." Sima Yue spat out these 2 words lightly, as if it was a very ordinary thing. "You killed my brother." Zhou Shiyu was a little mad. "I wanted to keep you alive to play with, but you killed my brother. Today, I want your life." After saying that, she waved her whip again. This time, it was even faster than before. The whip was condensed with even more spiritual power, making it even more powerful. Sima Yue swung Ling Long at an even faster speed. The onlookers could barely see their movements. After a few rounds, Zhou Shiyu was kicked to the ground by Sima Yue. PFFF. Zhou Shiyu spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. She was breathing out more than she was breathing in. Sima Yue came to her side and said, "I don't care how many people you've harmed over the years, but you shouldn't have come to provoke us." After saying that, she shot out a flame and burned Zhou Shiyu to ashes. She killed Hall Leader Zhou. She's not afraid of the Heavenly Tiger Hall's revenge. She's so young, but she's so powerful. The others aren't bad either. The Heavenly Tiger Hall didn't get any benefits. Who are they? They don't look that old, but their battle power is so strong. I'm more interested to know what will happen to them in the future. The Heavenly Tiger Hall will definitely not let this matter rest. That's right. I don't know if they're really strong, or if they're just young calves who aren't afraid of tigers. I think they're strong. No matter how strong they are, can they be compared to the Heavenly Tiger Hall? The innkeeper looked at the people around him who were discussing animatedly. He thought for a moment, then straightened his back and said, "Hee, why don't we set up a bet? I'll be the banker. We'll bet on their final situation. If they're killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the payout will be 1 to 10. If they're safe and sound, the payout will be 1 to 50. If they destroy the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the payout will be 1 to 100. How about it? Does anyone want to bet?" "Innkeeper Cho, is what you said true?" "Of course it's true." Innkeeper Cho chuckled and said, "I'll set up a bet in the main hall of the inn. If you want to participate, come." Haha. It's been a long time since something so interesting happened in Hong City. This is a bet without any suspense. Let's place our bets later. We'll definitely win. We'll go too. While they were discussing the bets, the Sima family had finished off the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Seeing the corpses on the ground, they didn't feel any pity. If they were the weaker party, they would be the ones lying on the ground today. Sima Yue looked at Innkeeper Cho, who was trying his best to persuade the people to place their bets. She couldn't help but twitch her mouth. Things had happened in front of his inn, but he wasn't worried that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would be implicated. Instead, he was in the mood to set up a bet. "I say, Innkeeper, you used us to set up a bet. Shouldn't you give us a share of the profits?" Innkeeper Cho looked at Sima Yue and said with a smile, "If you can survive, I should give you a share." Sima Yue didn't say anything else. She waited for Sima Yue and the others to clean up the corpses before bringing everyone back to the inn. They're going back just like that? Everyone watched as they went back just like that. Their eyes widened. Weren't they too careless? If they didn't take it seriously now, they would be afraid when the Heavenly Tiger Hall members came. Only Innkeeper Cho smiled as he watched Sima Yue and the others leave. He looked at the waiter who was still in a daze and slapped him on the head. What are you still standing there for? Why aren't you going back to set up the bet? Oh, I'm going back. What's there to hit? The waiter muttered as he returned to the inn. He took out a wooden board with the odds written on it and placed it on a table. Just like that, the bet was set up. The news that a few people had killed the leader of the Heavenly Tiger Hall quickly spread throughout the entire great city. At first, everyone thought it was a joke and didn't take it seriously. However, the more they talked about it, the more serious it became. They even talked about how the inn had set up the bet. Only then did everyone believe it. They even went to place their bets. Bang! In the Heavenly Tiger Hall's discussion hall, a middle-aged man slammed the table fiercely. He looked at the person reporting the news and said, "Is what you said true?" Replying to Vice Hall Master, "It is absolutely true. Vice Hall Master Zhou has indeed been killed by those people. There is also news that those people have killed Vice Hall Master Zhou as well." "What did you say?" "No pop-up window. Our address. We will provide handwritten versions of our works. You can download them in TXT format for free." Chapter 445. It turned out that Zhou Shuren and Zhou Shiyu were both hall masters of the same branch. Zhou Shuren was the hall master, while Zhou Shiyu was the vice hall master. "Vice hall master, we lost contact with hall master Zhou a few days ago. When Sima Yue killed vice hall master Zhou today, she said that she had already killed hall master Zhou." The person kneeling on the ground said, "Where are those people?" The vice hall master asked. "They are all at the inn." The guard replied, "Inn." When the members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall heard the name of the inn, they all frowned. It was obvious that this was not a place they wanted to offend. "Go and capture them," the Vice Hall Master ordered with a solemn face. "Vice Hall Master, in my opinion, it's best if we don't go and capture them right now." A man sitting below said, "Why?" The Vice Hall Master looked at that person unhappily. If he couldn't give a good reason, he would definitely blame him. The man was not intimidated by his aura and said, "Those people dared to kill the Deputy Hall Master of our Heavenly Tiger Hall on the streets. They even said that they killed Branch Hall Master Zhou. If it wasn't for the fact that they are strong enough to not be afraid of us, then they must have some status that we don't dare to touch. If we act rashly, it might bring us some trouble. Why don't we send someone to check their identities first? If it's not the two situations mentioned above, it won't be too late to arrest them and punish them." Hearing his words, the others also fell into deep thought. His words were not without reason. "Vice Hall Master, I agree with Hall Master Bai's idea. These people suddenly appeared in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. We should treat them seriously. If something like Shopkeeper Cho happens again. Last time, they also went to look for trouble with Shopkeeper Cho. At that time, he was just a servant who had just entered Huqing. They also went to collect protection fees, but they were rejected and beaten up. Later on, the people they sent were all beaten up by him. Only then did they know that they had provoked a difficult person to deal with. In the end, the hall master had to personally apologize and compensate them with a lot of things before the matter was settled. Later on, Shopkeeper Cho opened an inn in Hong City and named it an inn. From then on, this place became a special place in Hong City. This was the only place where they didn't dare to collect protection fees. After so many years, such a thing had happened again. They had to treat it seriously. The Vice Hall Master also thought of this matter and said, "Since that's the case, then send someone to the inn to closely monitor their movements, and then send more people to investigate them." Branch Hall Master Zhou went to the Zhou clan, and then disappeared. "I think we should send more people to investigate. Perhaps we will find something." "Go." "Yes, Vice Hall Master." Sima Yue and the rest were staying at the inn. The onlookers initially thought that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would send people to deal with them quickly. However, after waiting for an entire day, there was no movement at all. Only the shopkeeper, who was counting the money behind the counter, felt that there were more people outside. However, he only smiled and did not say anything. At first, Sima Yue and the others were surprised when they saw that no one came. However, they realized that there were people watching them from outside. They must have gone to check on them. Sima Yue and the rest were not in a hurry. and stayed in the inn. However, in order to avoid being caught one by one, they did not go out to shop. In these 2 days, Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang came downstairs and smiled as they walked to the counter. Looking at shopkeeper Cho, she said, "Shopkeeper Cho, your income is not small." Shopkeeper Cho saw the smile on Sima Yue's face and subconsciously covered the crystals on the counter, saying, "These are uncertain. If you are killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall in the end, I will have to pay a lot of compensation." As he spoke, he threw out a book and said, "Look at this thick book. It's full of people betting on your death." Sima Yue took it and flipped through it. TSK. There were at least 10,000 people betting that they would be killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Innkeeper Cho took out a booklet and said, "This is for your safety." Sima Yue took it and quickly finished reading it. Because there were only 100 people on it, there were only a few pages. What's the other possibility? She thought of another possibility. Even if they destroyed the Heavenly Tiger Hall, the shopkeeper did not take it out. "There's not a single person on that," Shopkeeper Cho said. "Speaking of which, if I wasn't the banker, I would have bet on that. Unfortunately, it's useless even if I bought it. There's no one to compensate me." Sima Yue looked at Shopkeeper Cho, who looked as if he had lost a lot of money, and said, "If you dare to bet like that, aren't you afraid of losing a single cent? I've lived for so many years, I'm quite good at judging people." Shopkeeper Cho said. Sima Yue laughed, saying, "Shopkeeper Cho looks handsome and refined. Don't tell me you're actually an old monster that has lived for thousands of years?" Indeed, Shopkeeper Cho looked to be in his 20s or 30s. His white robes made him look even more elegant, but his greedy eyes made him seem like an ordinary person. Hearing her say this, Shopkeeper Cho pursed his lips. An old monster that has lived for thousands of years? How could he be that old? At the very least, it should be 50% more than 50%. Speaking of which, we've already agreed that if you use us as stakes, we'll get a share. I don't want much, just half of it will do," Sima Yue said with a smile. "Half?" Shopkeeper Cho almost jumped when he heard this. "You didn't do anything. How can you get half?" "Why not?" Sima Yue said. "You didn't do anything either, right? You only got someone to copy your name, but we contributed the manpower." "That won't do," Shopkeeper Cho rejected decisively. "At most, I'll give you 30%. 30%. Sima Yue placed both hands on the counter and looked straight at Innkeeper Cho, saying, "Do you believe that I can make it so that you won't be able to earn a single cent, and even lose everything?" Shopkeeper Cho's eyelids twitched. His instincts told him that this person could really do what she said. All right. He waved his hand, saying, "I can give you half, but don't charge me a high price in the future." After saying this, he was stunned. Why did he say this? Sima Yue smiled, saying, "That depends on what kind of work it is. But seeing that Shopkeeper Cho is so straightforward, I'll give you a 10% discount in the future." After saying this, she and Bei Gongtang prepared to leave. After taking 2 steps, she turned back and said, "These bets are not accurate. You can trick a few more people to place their bets." After saying this, the 2 of them left, leaving the shopkeeper to ponder over her words. Not a single one of them was accurate. Could there be other possibilities? Should he believe her? Forget it, he should believe her. If he lost, wouldn't she be unable to earn any money? Thinking of this, he suddenly slapped his thigh and shouted, "What a loss! I only said that I would give her half of the profits. But I didn't say that if I lost, she would have to pay half as well." Chapter 446. After deliberating for 2 minutes, Shopkeeper Cho decisively adopted Sima Yue's suggestion and increased the odds for the last 2 bets. As expected, it attracted another 100 people to place their bets. Not enough. Shopkeeper Cho looked at the account book with a sad face and sighed continuously. Hearing his dissatisfaction, the waiter looked at him with disdain and said, "Shopkeeper, let's raise the odds for the first one even higher." "What do you know?" Innkeeper Cho glared at him and said, "There are already a lot of people who belong to the first category. Look, 90% of them belong to the first category. If there are any more and they get killed by the Heavenly Tiger Hall, we will have to compensate them so much that we won't even have our underwear left. TSK, do you think I don't know you? Weren't you sure that they would be fine? Even if something happened, you would go against the agreement and let them be fine. The waiter said with a face of disbelief. That's true. Innkeeper Cho thought it through and said. Then released the news and changed the compensation rate from 110 to 120. In just 2 days, nearly 10,000 people came to place their bets. Sima Yue was speechless when she saw the results. It seemed like not many people thought that they would survive. At this moment, everyone in the Heavenly Tiger Hall was looking curiously in the direction of the meeting hall. Ever since the incident with shopkeeper Cho, the hall master rarely showed himself. All the decisions in the hall were made by the vice hall master and the elders. Today he came out of seclusion again, which meant that something big must have happened. In the conference hall, everyone was silent as they looked at hall master Zhou Heimo, who was sitting on the main seat. Zhou Heimo looked to be in his 40s. He was not tall, but he gave people a sense of absolute oppression. What's going on this time? How did you offend a formation master and a beast tamer? His deep voice was filled with anger. It seemed like he was unhappy that he had offended Sima Yue and the rest. According to the information we've gathered, Hall Master Zhou offended her because he tried to chase her out of the Zhou family's upper park. As for Vice Hall Master Zhou, it was because they didn't pay the entrance fee and protection fee. When he went to deal with them, he took a fancy to that master's beauty and wanted to snatch it back. That was why he was killed by her. A branch hall master said. So you're saying that she wasn't the one who provoked the Heavenly Tiger Hall? Zhou Heimo asked. The hall masters looked at each other and had to admit this fact. They nodded and said, yes. If it weren't for the fact that I happened to come out of seclusion, would you have caused the same thing to happen again? Zhou Heimo asked. The people below were silent. But hall master, those are the children left behind by little aunt. We said that we would take good care of them. Now that they have been killed, are we just going to let them go? Vice Hall Master Zhou Haimin said unwillingly. A master who is both a beast tamer and a formation master. Is he someone we can easily offend? Zhou Heimo scolded. Zhou Haimin disagreed and retorted. But we've also checked. They're just people from the lower continent. They don't have any status or background. Even if we kill them, no one will say anything. Fool. Zhou Heimo looked at his own brother and said, is it because you've been in charge of the Heavenly Tiger Hall all these years that you've become arrogant and complacent? Do you think that you can kill anyone? That's a beast tamer and a formation master. If you can't kill him, once he has the chance to leave, how can the Heavenly Tiger Hall continue to exist? But they. Zhou Haimin wanted to say something, but his brother glared at him. Are you trying to say that they aren't strong enough? Zhou Heimo said. Zhou Haimin didn't say anything, silently agreeing with his brother's words. Do you know how strong an formation master is? Zhou Heimo snorted. You've only seen their strength on the surface. You haven't seen the killing power of the formation master. Furthermore, their strength isn't weak. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to kill the hall masters of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Or do you want to try the effects of the formation master? How could Zhou Haimin not know the power of an formation master? But he wanted to avenge his family more. You'd better give up on the idea of settling scores with them. From now on, you can't think of revenge. Instead, you have to treat them with respect. Otherwise, if you bring trouble to the Heavenly Tiger Hall, I'll be the first to not let you off. Do you hear me? Got it. Although he was unwilling, Zhou Haimin still responded. Then Hall Master, what should we do now? One of the Hall Masters asked. We've already provoked them twice. We can't offend them now. Instead, we have to go and apologize. If we can be on good terms with them, that would be the best. Even if we can't be on good terms with them, we still have to erase the grudges from before. Zhou Heimo said. Then who's going to do this? Zhou Heimo thought for a moment then said, I'll go personally. Hall Master. The Hall Masters looked at Zhou Heimo in shock. He actually wanted to go personally. Ever since the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array broke down, we have less contact with the outside world. As a result, everyone has become frogs at the bottom of a well. Zhou Heimo said. An array master or a beast tamer master would have a very high status in the outside world. As for someone who is both an array master and a beast tamer master, even in a higher power, they would be treated with great respect. Now that we've offended them, we naturally have to go and apologize. Are they still in the inn? Yes, other than that Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang who came out once, no one else has come out. Someone replied. Go to the warehouse and retrieve some good treasures. Zhou Heimo instructed. Yes, Hall Master. When the Heavenly Tiger Hall's members found out that the Hall Master had personally gone to apologize to Sima Yue and the rest, they were all shocked beyond words. They had been waiting for orders from above to capture Sima Yue and the rest. Now that they had been ordered to treat the other party with respect, their hearts were in a mess. What was even more inconceivable were the people of Hong City. When they saw the important figures of the Heavenly Tiger Hall personally appear at the inn, they all thought that their eyes were playing tricks on them. Oh, even the Hall Master is here. Innkeeper Cho looked up and saw Zhou Heimo, smiling as he said. Zhou Heimo saw that Innkeeper Cho was still the same as he had been for the past few decades. Other than his aura becoming more unfathomable, there was no trace of it on him at all. He smiled and asked, How have you been all these years, Innkeeper Cho? Innkeeper Cho chuckled and said, Good. It's just that your people broke many of my tables and chairs. But you didn't compensate me. Aren't you going to compensate Innkeeper Cho for the tables and chairs? Zhou Heimo glanced at Zhou Haimin who was beside him. Zhou Haimin reluctantly came to the counter and asked, How much? Not much, just 10,000 middle-rank crystals. Innkeeper Cho narrowed his eyes and said. Zhou Haimin was furious, but he still accepted his fate and gave him 10,000 middle-ranked crystals before returning to Zhou Heimo's side. Innkeeper Cho, is Great Master Sima still here? Zhou Heimo asked. Innkeeper Cho blinked, his heart skipping a beat. Great Master? Chapter 447. Sima Yue was reading in her room when she heard someone knocking on the door. Sir, the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall are here. They want to see you. The waiter said from outside. Sima Yue opened the door and saw the waiter. Are you sure you want to see me and not catch me? No, it's the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master who came personally. He said that he wanted to see you and apologize in person. The waiter said. Didn't they say that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was unreasonable? I killed their branch leader. Instead of coming to arrest me, they came to apologize to me? Sima Yue said. This Heavenly Tiger Hall is indeed not a good place, but their Hall Master is still passable. It's just that he's focused on cultivation and left this Heavenly Tiger Hall to his younger brother to manage. That's why it's become such a foul place. The waiter said, Sir, they're waiting downstairs. You can leave first. Sima Yue said. Okay, then I'll go downstairs first. The waiter finished speaking and went downstairs. Sima Yue looked at the way the waiter walked and knew that he was not an ordinary waiter. The doors of the other rooms also opened after hearing the knock. After hearing the waiter's words, the waiter said, Yue, are we going down? Yes, of course. Sima Yue said. Zhuoran previously said that the Heavenly Tiger Hall was not bad, or else it would not have developed so much. Later on, for some reason, it became what it is today. I think it must be because the Hall Master's younger brother came to power. Now that their Hall Master is here, we naturally have to go down and meet him. We should all go down, Sima Lai said. All right. Downstairs, Zhou Heimo and shopkeeper Cho were drinking tea at a table. When Sima Yue came down, she saw the two of them sitting opposite each other and raised her eyebrows. Why would innkeeper Cho drink tea at the same table as someone else? When shopkeeper Cho saw Sima Yue, he pouted angrily and said, There, she is Sima Yue. Zhou Heimo stood up and cupped his fists towards Sima Yue. He bowed deeply and said, Great Master Sima, I am the Heavenly Tiger Hall's Hall Master, Zhou Heimo. I have come specially to apologize for the Heavenly Tiger Hall's previous offense. When the other members of the Heavenly Tiger Hall saw their Hall Master bowing, they all bowed in apology. Many people had already gathered outside the inn. When they saw the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall, they thought that they would capture Sima Yue and the rest or execute them on the spot. Innkeeper Chow's apology was just an excuse for them to come down. However, he did not expect that the Heavenly Tiger Hall would really bow and apologize when both parties met. Sima Yu looked at Zhou Haimo. She could feel his apology, but as for the others, she could tell at a glance that they were just putting on an act. Hall Master Zhou is too courteous. Sima Yue waved her hand. She was actually a very easy person to talk to. She did not hit a smiling person. Since the other party had come to apologize, she would not fight to the death. Of course, this was on the premise that the apology was sincere. Zhou Haimo took out a space ring and handed it to Sima Yue with both hands, saying, "This is a little apology that we have prepared for offending Great Master. We hope that Great Master will accept it." Sima Yue took the ring and scanned it with her spiritual energy. When she saw the pile of items inside, she smiled and said, "Hall Master Zhou is too courteous. I am a little embarrassed that you are like this. This is what I should do." That Zhou Shuren and Zhou Shiyu did not know the gravity of the situation and offended Great Master. They deserve to be beheaded. Zhou Haimo said, "I have already warned them not to cause trouble. They did not listen to my advice, so the blame is on them." Sima Yue looked at Zhou Haimo. She could tell that he really felt that way and said, "We are very grateful that Hall Master Zhou does not blame us. Since Hall Master Zhou has personally come to apologize and compensate us, we will not be able to continue harping on past grievances. As long as the Heavenly Tiger Hall does not provoke us in the future, we will not find trouble with you." When Zhou Haimo heard Sima Yue say this, he heaved a sigh of relief and bowed deeply again, saying, "Thank you, Great Master Sima." When the other members of the Sima family saw that Zhou Haimo had lowered himself, and Sima Yue had also said that this matter was over and would not pursue it any further, they were no longer so wary. "Hall Master Zhou, I heard that if you want to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge, you have to first sit on a flying beast for a few months, and then use the Heavenly Tiger Hall's teleportation array." Sima Yue said, "That's right." Zhou Haimo said, "In the past we still had many connections with the outside world. However, a few decades ago, the teleportation array was broken. After that, no array master came to fix it, so our connections with the outside world were basically cut off. Could it be that no one is willing to sit on a flying beast and leave?" Fatty Chu asked. "It's not that no one is willing, it's that no one dares." Zhou Haimo said, "No one dares? Why?" "Because there are spirit beasts living in the areas where we are connected to the other ridges. If we want to leave, we have to pass through their territory. However, where do we have the power to go to the spirit beasts?" Zhou Haimo said with a bitter smile. "Spirit beasts?" Sima Yue looked at Innkeeper Cho, who had returned to the counter to settle accounts. Was he here because of this? The teleportation array is broken, and there are spirit beasts outside. That's why no one has entered or left the Heavenly Tiger Ridge for a long time. Zhou Haimo said, "I heard that the teleportation array is not open to outsiders. I wonder if we can take a look at the teleportation array?" Sima Yue asked. It was not difficult for her to set up a teleportation array, but she needed to know the geographical coordinates of the place. If she set it up carelessly, she might not be able to leave the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Instead, she might be sent directly to the spirit beast's territory. If she went to take a look at their broken teleportation array, she might be able to get the coordinates of the outside world. If that was not possible, they could only choose to pass through the spirit beast's territory. When Zhou Haimo heard this, his eyes lit up and said, "Of course you can. If possible, we would like to invite all of you to the Heavenly Tiger Hall as guests." This Sima Yue was an array master, and the array she set up was very powerful. This showed that she had high attainments in array formations. If she could fix the teleportation array, they would be able to leave in the future. "Let's not go as guests. We are used to being idle. If we go to your place, we will not be used to it." Sima Yue said, "We will continue to stay here. I will go with them to take a look at the teleportation array." SSS-. They actually rejected the Heavenly Tiger Hall's invitation. The people outside looked at Sima Yue and felt that she was becoming more and more mysterious. Third bro, Yulin Beigong, come with me to the Heavenly Tiger Hall to take a look. Sima Yue said. Grandfather, bring everyone here and wait for us to come back. Okay, you guys be careful. Sima Lai was still a little worried about Sima Yue. We will. Sima Yue said. Oh right, the bet that innkeeper Cho set up. None of the participants guessed correctly. That's why the money belongs to the banker now. We agreed to split it in half. When you guys are here, you can split the money with innkeeper Cho. After speaking, she nodded at Zhou Heimo, and the two of them walked out together. Sima Yu ran and the other two, and the Heavenly Tiger Hall members followed behind and left the inn. Chapter 448. Those who had placed bets were all howling in grief. Not a single one of them had guessed correctly. They had lost all their bets. However, none of them had expected Sima Yue to be a master. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have bet on it. Actually, he had guessed correctly that he would be safe and sound in the first round. However, it was still a far cry from becoming an esteemed guest of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Thus shopkeeper Cho smiled. This banker had done a good job. Total victory. However, when he saw the Sima family members who came to share the money, his heart ached again. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have agreed to share so much. Zhou Heimo invited Sima Yue and the rest to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Only then did the people from the Heavenly Tiger Hall know that she was actually an array master. No wonder the hall master personally went to apologize. After entering the Heavenly Tiger Hall, Zhou Heimo said to the branch hall masters, all of you can go and do your own things. Yes, hall master. The branch hall masters left, leaving only Zhou Heimo and Zhou Haimin. You can leave as well. Go home and reflect on your mistakes, Zhou Heimo said to Zhou Haimin. Yes, big brother. Zhou Haimin left without even looking at Sima Yue. I'm really sorry. Zhou Heimo smiled at Sima Yue and the others and said, I'll take you to see the array now. All right. Zhou Heimo took them to an independent courtyard. The courtyard was very big, but there was no one there now. It looked particularly desolate. The array formation is in the hall. Zhou Heimo pointed to the room without a door and said, in the past there were many people coming and going here, so it was built very big. Sima Yue went in and saw an abandoned array. The array stone was still there, but it was covered with dust. There were also many names of places on the wall that were connected to the formation. Because of the fear of damaging the array again, no one usually comes here. Zhou Heimo explained. Master, is there any way to repair this array? I need to study this. Sima Yue said. There are many reasons why this array is damaged, but no matter which one it is, it will affect its connection with the void. If we don't find the problem, we won't be able to fix it. Zhou Heimo did not know anything about arrays, but after hearing what Sima Yue said, he felt that it was troublesome, but not impossible. He bowed to Sima Yue and said, Master, please help us repair the formation. We will reward you handsomely. I need time, Sima Yue said, and some materials. Grandmaster, please speak. As long as the Heavenly Tiger Ridge has it, I will definitely get someone to get it. Zhou Heimo said excitedly. Okay. Sima Yue gave Zhou Heimo a few materials and asked him to leave. Once he left, Sima Yue asked, Fifth bro, can this array really be repaired? Sima Yu and Sima Yulin looked at each other and laughed. Sima Yulin patted Sima Yuran's shoulder saying, There's no big problem with this array at all. Any array master will be able to fix it. It's just that when the array broke, the Heavenly Tiger Ridge did not have an array master. So naturally, no one could fix it. Then why did Fifth Bro say it was so difficult? Sima Yuran said. So you wanted to extort them. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge has squeezed so many things out of the commoners these years. It's no big deal if we get some. Sima Yue said. Yulin, look at the array. Can you find out the uniqueness of the spatial coordinates of this continent? It's different from the continent below, Sima Yulin said. Yes. Maybe it's because the power of the void is different here. That's why those who aren't divine overlords can't fly. The spatial coordinates are different as well. Sima Yue said. We can use this array to study the teleportation array of this continent. Not bad. Sima Yulin said excitedly. As such, the two of them began to study the array, while Bei Gong Tang and the others did their own things. 3 days later, Zhou Hai Mo appeared again, holding the materials that Sima Yue wanted as well as the rewards that they had prepared. Great Master, the materials that you wanted have all been prepared. Zhou Hai Mo took out an interspatial ring, saying, apart from this, these are all rewards for Great Master. Sima Yue did not think that the other party would act so quickly, and that the rewards would be so generous. However, she still frowned slightly. Is Great Master not satisfied with the rewards? If so, I'll get someone to send some more over. Zhou Hai Mo was very good at reading people's expressions. Hall Master, you can just give whatever you want. What I'm worried about is whether or not these materials will be able to fix the array. Sima Yue said. I've been studying it these 3 days. Apart from the previous problems, there are many hidden problems. If we don't get rid of these hidden problems, I'm afraid that even if the array is fixed, it won't be able to be used for long. What else do you need? Just tell me, Great Master. Zhou Hai Mo said. As such, Sima Yue said the names of a few more materials, and Zhou Hai Mo left once again. 5 days later, Zhou Hai Mo appeared again with the materials and a portion of the rewards. This time, Sima Yue did not make things difficult for him. After receiving the items, she told him to come back in 10 days. Within these 10 days, she was not to let anyone disturb her while she was fixing the array. Zhou Hai Mo left, full of anticipation. At the same time, he announced that no one was to disturb Sima Yue. Knowing that the array might be fixed, the people of the Heavenly Tiger Hall were extremely happy. People from other places thought that the Heavenly Tiger Hall did not allow anyone to use the teleportation array. Only they themselves knew that without the array, they had been cut off from the world for a long time. Of course, Sima Yue and the rest did not do much in these 10 days. For the first 9 days they were cultivating here. On the morning of the 10th day, Sima Yue stood up and walked to the side of the array. First, she removed the dust on it, then changed all the array stones. When she changed the position of the stones, the array was fixed. In the afternoon, Zhou Hai Mo brought the other hall masters of the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When they saw the new array, they were extremely excited. Great Master, is the teleportation array ready? Zhou Hai Mo looked at Sima Yue and asked. Sima Yue did not say anything. She only smiled and injected some spirit energy into the array. With the injection of spirit energy, the entire array was activated. The light from the array lit up the entire room. It's done. It's done. It's really done. I haven't seen this light in so many years. It's really exciting. That's right. Great Master is indeed amazing. Thank you, Great Master. Now the entire Heavenly Tiger Hall was unhappy with Sima Yue. Although she killed their hall masters, how could a hall master be more important than the teleportation array? Now, everyone was rejoicing that they did not kill Sima Yue and the rest. Otherwise, the teleportation array would never be fixed. Thank you, Great Master. Zhou Hai Mo brought his men and bowed to Sima Yue. Although they paid a lot of money, as long as the teleportation array was fixed, it was all worth it. Seeing how grateful they were, Bei Gong Tang and the rest laughed in their hearts. These guys were really easy to fool. Chapter 449. Sima Yue did not feel embarrassed and said, since the array has been fixed, we will go back first. I haven't been back for so long. My grandfather and the others must be worried. Actually, she had already used the Sun Mother Stone to tell Wei Ziqi and the others that she would be staying here for a period of time. They were not worried about her at all. If that's the case, I'll send you off. Zhou Hai Mo said. No need, just find someone to lead the way for us. Sima Yue said. Now that the teleportation portal is ready, I'm sure you guys have something to discuss. We won't trouble the hall master. How can that be? Nothing is more important than sending the Grand Master away, Zhou Hai Mo said. He insisted on sending them off. Sima Yue did not reject his offer, and left the Heavenly Tiger Hall. Returning to the inn, Sima Lai and the others saw that the 4 of them had returned safely. and only then did they truly let out a sigh of relief. "Grandfather, let's get ready and leave tomorrow." Sima Yue said. "Why isn't shopkeeper Cho here today? He hasn't been in the inn for the past few days." Sima Lai said. "Zian, are you looking for him for something?" "Nothing much. I just wanted to ask him something." Sima Yue said. The waiter just happened to come out from the back hall and heard her words. He said, "Dear guest, my shopkeeper said that if you have any business with him, you should wait for him for 2 days. He knows that I'm looking for him?" Sima Yue asked in surprise. Hee, there's nothing that my shopkeeper doesn't know about in Hong City," the waiter said narcissistically. Sima Yue nodded and went upstairs to her room. Sima Yue was even more curious about innkeeper Cho since he knew that she was looking for him. Sima Yue and the rest waited for innkeeper Cho for another half a month. Fortunately, everyone was able to cultivate, and these 10 or so days were also the days for everyone to go into seclusion. One day, the waiter knocked on Sima Yue's door and told her that shopkeeper Cho had returned and invited Sima Yue to meet him in the back hall. Although it was said to be the back hall, it was actually quite far away. Previously, she hadn't noticed that the back of the inn was the back hall. The waiter brought her into a room and let her go in alone. The room was very dark. After closing the door, it was almost impossible to see what was going on inside. "You're injured," Sima Yue said. "You have a sharp nose." Innkeeper Chow's voice came from the darkness. "The smell of blood is too strong. It's impossible not to smell it." Sima Yue shot out a ray of light and lit up the room. Shopkeeper Cho was lying on a chaise lounge. "What did you do to anger the heavens and the people? How could he be so severely injured? Your waiter doesn't know that you're injured so badly, right?" Innkeeper Cho laughed bitterly and said, "I didn't tell him. I was afraid of scaring him. If you die, won't he know?" Sima Yue saw that there were lights all around the room. She lit them up and the whole room lit up. "Why did you call me here?" "I want you to help me bring Xiao to the innumerable green palace." Cough cough. "Hand him over to the soaring cloud palace master." Innkeeper Cho said. "You really are from the innumerable green palace?" Sima Yue said. "We're not familiar with each other. Aren't you afraid that I won't agree to your request?" "I naturally have conditions that can move you," Innkeeper Cho said. "Then aren't you afraid that I won't do the job after taking it?" she asked again. "Haha." Innkeeper Cho laughed and said, "I've lived for so many years and I'm quite good at reading people. You're not that kind of person. You really think too highly of me." Sima Yue said, "You were beaten up to this state, right? If I were to bring Xiao out of Sky Tiger Ridge, I'm afraid that I would be killed before reaching the innumerable green palace." "You're really smart, much smarter than I thought." Innkeeper Cho no longer looked like a greedy shopkeeper. His aura was even stronger than Zhou Haimo's. "So are you willing or not? If you agree, I'll give you a reward." Sima Yue walked over and casually pulled a stool to sit down, saying, "I'm very interested in your reward. Why don't you tell me about it and see if it can move me?" Innkeeper Chow's thoughts moved, and a box appeared on the short table beside him. Sima Yue picked up the box and opened it. Inside was an array stone the size of a palm. The bigger the array stone, the higher the level of array it could set up. Most array stones were only the size of a longan. Some were the size of a lychee. Those that were the size of an egg were relatively rare. But this one was actually the size of a palm. This was enough to show its value. Even someone as knowledgeable as her could not help but be moved by this array stone. "What do you think?" Innkeeper Cho asked. Sima Yue kept the box and said, "I was thinking that if you usually keep a lot of treasures, and if you die and I snatch them, there will definitely be more than this array stone. Anyway, you're Xiao, or won't be able to snatch them from us. Who knows, I might even be able to get a reward from your enemies with your heads." Innkeeper Cho calmly listened to Sima Yue. He was neither anxious nor angry, as if he thought she was joking. When she finished, he opened his mouth and asked, "Do you want to make this deal?" Sima Yue saw that Innkeeper Cho was not angry and stopped joking, saying, "You really know how to cater to my interests. I am indeed interested in your array stone, but I don't intend to get involved in your business." Innkeeper Chow's eyes darkened. "But I can make a deal with you," she continued. "What deal?" I'll heal your injuries and get the erase stone. As for your Xiao I'll let you take care of him. What do you think? Innkeeper Cho looked at Sima Yue. When he was sure that she was not joking, his eyes flashed with a hint of playfulness. Are you a doctor or an alchemist? Both. Sima Yue said. So do you agree or not? If you drag this out, it will be difficult to treat you. I'll have to raise the price then. You're an array master, Innkeeper Cho said. But that won't stop me from becoming an alchemist. Deal. Great. Sima Yue patted her thigh and kept the box containing the erase stone into her spirit pagoda. Then, she took out her silver needles and laid the chaise lounge flat. She quickly stripped Innkeeper Cho of his clothes, leaving only his underwear. Innkeeper Cho watched as Sima Yue took out her silver needles. It was the first time he had seen someone treat injuries this way. Aren't you supposed to give me pills? Why are you using these needles to treat my injuries? He could not help but ask. Of course you have to take pills. But some parts of your body have already lost their functions. If you don't use the needles, it won't work even if you take pills. Sima Yue took out a pill and stuffed it into his mouth. Then she disinfected her hands and the needles. She picked up the needles and stabbed them into Innkeeper Cho's body. It was the first time Innkeeper Cho had been stabbed with a needle. Moreover, Sima Yue was stabbing into his vital acupoints. Those places would be very painful if he understood them. Seeing the needles, he instinctively closed his eyes. Chapter 450. It was swollen and hot, but it didn't hurt like he had imagined. When he opened his eyes, he saw Sima Yue looking at him in amusement. What kind of treatment is this? He asked. Acupuncture. Sima Yue said as she inserted the needles. You're badly injured now, so it's best if you don't talk. Save your breath to absorb the effects of the pill. Innkeeper Cho was indeed very tired, but his eyes were exceptionally bright as he said, Cho Xiaotian. My name, Cho Xiaotian said and closed his eyes, allowing Sima Yue to insert needles all over his body. In a trance, he felt that the life force that had been flowing away was slowly recovering, and the aura of death no longer surrounded him. A piece of clothing was draped over his body, and Sima Yue's voice made him slowly regain consciousness. All right, I won't die. Cho Xiaotian opened his eyes and looked at Sima Yue. Under the light, she looked tired. It seemed that she had spent a lot of energy to save him. Thank you, he said weakly. If you want to thank me, I'll waive the bill for our room. Sima Yue said as she kept the silver needles. All right. Cho Xiaotian agreed without hesitation. Sima Yue packed up her things and looked at Cho Xiaotian, saying, I've been thinking about something. If I didn't save you, you probably wouldn't have lasted 2 hours. Are you really not going to say goodbye to your waiter? His name is Lian Hong, Cho Xiaotian said. If I die and you don't bring him away, then let him live here for the rest of his life. How cruel. Sima Yue smacked her lips and said, For his own good. Cho Xiaotian smiled bitterly. What about now? You're not dead, and you're still staying here? I need to think. Take your time to think about it. Sima Yue placed a jade bottle on the table and said, Take it again tomorrow at this time, and you'll be fine. Thank you. You're welcome. I've been paid anyway. Sima Yue said, If you really feel bad, give me another erase stone like this. The door is over there. I won't be seeing you off. Sima Yue did not really want to knock on his door. She turned around and went out. When she opened the door, she saw Lian Hong standing in the courtyard with tears streaming down his face. Go in, she said and left. Lian Hong had never left, and Sima Yue knew all along. Only Cho Xiaotian, who was severely injured and had lost too much of his life force, was not aware that Lian Hong was still outside. Thank you. Lian Hong bowed to Sima Yue gratefully. Sima Yue smiled and left the courtyard. She knew that the two of them had a lot to talk about. It was best if she didn't know, lest she got involved in other people's affairs. With a responsible attitude for the patient, their schedule was pushed back by a few more days. 5 days later, Cho Xiaotian appeared in front of the robbery in high spirits. When he saw Sima Yue and the rest coming to settle the bill, he said, Your bill has been waived. Since that's the case, are we still going to refund the deposit we gave? Sima Yue asked. That won't do. We can't refund what we've already given, Cho Xiaotian said with a serious face. He was afraid that Sima Yue would ask him for money. Sima Yue smiled and said to Sima Lai and the rest, Grandfather, let's go. The group left the inn. Cho Xiaotian looked at the empty room and said to Lian Hong, who was cleaning, Do you want to leave with them? Lian Hong rolled his eyes at Cho Xiaotian and said, You're the one who wants to leave with them. Why are you dragging me along? So you don't want to leave with them? Cho Xiaotian narrowed his eyes and said, Yes. Lian Hong threw the broom in his hand and said, Then why aren't you packing? I'll go immediately. I'll be done in a few minutes. After Lian Hong finished speaking, he ran to the back hall like a wisp of smoke. Stinky brat. Cho Xiaotian scolded jokingly. Sima Yue and the rest went directly to the Heavenly Tiger Hall. When the people there saw her and heard that she wanted to use the teleportation array, they politely led her to the courtyard where the teleportation array was. Although the teleportation array had been repaired, it had not been announced to the public yet. They only sent people to guard the place and did not allow anyone to come close. When Sima Yue arrived, Zhou Haiyemo also received the news and rushed over. Is Great Master leaving? Zhou Haiyemo asked respectfully. Yes. I was originally going to use this path to go outside. I didn't think that I would stay here for so long. Sima Yue said. Why, hasn't anyone used the teleportation array yet? No, we sent 2 people out, and they have already returned safely. It's just that the teleportation array hasn't appeared in front of everyone for too long. In order to not cause panic, it hasn't been announced to the public yet. Then can we use it? Sima Yue asked. Of course you can, Zhou Haiyemo said. If Great Master wants to use it, you can use it anytime. Thank you so much, Sima Yue said. Grandfather, let's go. They entered the hall and stood in the teleportation array. Just as they were about to inject spiritual energy into it, they heard a call. Wait, wait, wait for us. Sima Yue looked outside and saw 2 people walking in anxiously. Young Master Sima, wait for us. Lian Hong saw Sima Yue and the rest and raised his hand to shout. Cho Xiaotian followed behind, and the 2 quickly entered the house. He was the only one who could come here without permission. Innkeeper Cho, you guys are leaving too? Zhou Haiyemo looked at Cho Xiaotian and the rest in surprise. Master said that he's had enough of the inn and wants to go out for a walk. I'm not a waiter anymore, Lian Hong said with a smile. Young Master Sima, can you give us a ride? We're not going the same way as you, Sima Yue said. It's on the way, it's on the way, Lian Hong said. We'll go wherever you guys go. How could it not be on the way? You're planning to follow us? Fatty Chu asked with a smile. My master said that it's best if we bring you to wherever you want to go, Lian Hong said. Sima Yue knew that he was talking about the innumerable green palace. She thought about how Cho Xiaotian mentioned the soaring cloud palace master and guessed that they must know each other. Since that's the case, let's go together. All right. Lian Hong stepped into the teleportation array, and Cho Xiaotian walked in slowly. Great Master, where are you guys going? Zhou Haiyemo asked. Flower City, Sima Yue said. Flower City had a teleportation array that led directly to the innumerable green city. Zhou Haiyemo nodded and injected spiritual energy into the teleportation array. The array activated, and with a flash of light, the group of people disappeared into the array. Outside Flower City, a space tunnel opened and Sima Yue and the rest walked out. At this moment, they were already a few million kilometers away from Hong City. The teleportation array here is really troublesome. We can't even teleport directly into the teleportation array, Fatty Chu complained. There's a strict hierarchy here. Places like Heavenly Tiger Ridge don't have the right to teleport to Flower City. We can only teleport to somewhere near Flower City, Cho Xiaotian explained. Chapter 451. Crazy Wife. The Fifth Miss of the Divine Doctor. Book title. 451. Chapter 451. Being Dragged into the Waters. Sima Yue looked at Cho Xiaotian and said, "Since we're here, let's part ways here." "No rush, no rush," Cho Xiaotian said. "Since your destination is the innumerable Green Palace, so is mine. Why don't we travel together? At least we can take care of each other on the way." "I don't think that being with you is about taking care of each other," Sima Yue said bluntly. "But with me around, you can enter the innumerable Green Palace faster. Otherwise, if you want to use the teleportation array, you'll have to go through a lot of trouble." Cho Xiaotian fanned himself and smiled slyly. The rest of the Sima family looked at Sima Yue, not knowing what she and Cho Xiaotian were talking about. "Yue, since we're going the same way as them, why don't we travel together?" Fatty Chu said. "They're ticking time bombs." Sima Yue said. "2 array stones." This was the first time Cho Xiaotian heard about ticking time bombs, but he roughly understood what it meant. Sima Yue stared at him and said, "Let's talk alone." "Okay." Hence, the two of them walked to the side, and Cho Xiaotian set up a barrier. Everyone could only watch the two of them talk. At first, it was Cho Xiaotian talking most of the time, while Sima Yue frowned. "You're saying that Lian Hong is the nephew of the Soaring Cloud Palace Master? Then who are his parents?" Sima Yue asked. "The Soaring Cloud Palace Master is called Lian Zhe. He's the second young master of the Lian clan. Lian Hong's father is his elder brother," Cho Xiaotian said. "What about his mother?" "His mother is a young lady from the Fei clan, the Lian clan's enemy." Cho Xiaotian said. "The Fei clan is very unhappy with the two of them. They don't approve of this child Lian Hong. All these years, they've been sending people to kill him. So that's why you brought him to Sky Tiger Ridge and destroyed the teleportation portal?" Sima Yue said with certainty. "The Heavenly Tiger Ridge is an inconspicuous place in the state. They would not expect us to be there. There is no teleportation array, and there are spirit beasts outside. Normal people would not be able to find this place." Cho Xiaotian did not deny it. "But there are also people who can directly create space tunnels," Sima Yue said. "For example, Old Man Devil and Wu Lingyu." When she thought of Wu Lingyu, she suddenly remembered that not everyone could open a spatial tunnel. One had to be at least at the divine realm to do so. Could it be that he had already broken through to the divine realm at such a young age? Cho Xiaotian didn't know what she was thinking and continued. "Those from the Fei family who can open the passage will not participate in this matter." "Why?" "According to what I know, this matter was done by a young master of the Fei clan. He used to like Lian Hong's mother." Cho Xiaotian said. "So you're saying that we are not going against the entire Fei clan?" Sima Yue said. "Then what is the background of the Fei and Lian clans?" "They are second only to the innumerable Green Palace," Cho Xiaotian said. Sima Yue glared fiercely at Cho Xiaotian. "Are you trying to scam me or scam me? You want to drag us down with such a powerful force? No way, not with you guys. It's too dangerous. You guys are already in the water," Cho Xiaotian said with a smile. "You guys appeared outside Flower City with us. With the Fei clan's power, they must have received the news. Even if you guys split up with us now, you won't be able to escape the Fei clan's pursuit. That guy would rather kill 1,000 innocents than let a single one go." Sima Yue said helplessly. "We are just small characters from below. Why are you dragging us down with you?" "No, we can only survive with you guys around," Cho Xiaotian said. "These few years, I have been trying to find a chance to reunite Lian Hong and Lian Zhe. But the moment I leave Heavenly Tiger Ridge, I will be chased by the Fei clan. Let's not even talk about going to innumerable Green City to find Lian Zhe. We are just a group of divine rank people. We will definitely drag you guys down if we fight. It's useless even if you drag us along," Sima Yue said. "Who knows, maybe you could have gone to 2 cities, but you only went to 1. I have no choice. You are my last bet," Cho Xiaotian said. "If we miss you guys, we don't know how long we will have to stay in Heavenly Tiger Ridge. The Fei clan has already noticed Heavenly Tiger Ridge. Even if we don't go with you, we will have to consider leaving. And I believe that with you guys, we will have a bit of hope." "You schemed against us," Sima Yue said coldly. "I'm sorry, but we have no other choice," Cho Xiaotian said. "Other than the reward I promised you, I owe you a favor. Sima Yue had a headache. She only wanted to go to Central State to help Bei Gong Tang and save her mother and brother. How did she end up meeting such a troublesome fox? What's your relationship with them? What about his parents? His father and I are brothers. His parents are dead. Before they died, they asked me to take care of them. Cho Xiaotian said. As long as I bring you guys to Innumerable Green Palace? Sima Yue asked. Yes, Cho Xiaotian nodded. For array stones and a favor. Sima Yue did not hold back and directly increased the price. 3 and a favor. I only have 3 left, Cho Xiaotian said. Sima Yue stared at Cho Xiaotian for a long time, before saying unwillingly, Deal. Advance payment. Just as he said, they had appeared in the outskirts of Flower City. The Fei clan would definitely get the news. At that time, it would be difficult for her to escape the fate of being chased. She might as well bring them along and earn some benefits. Cho Xiaotian took out an array stone. Its size was about the same as the previous one. Sima Yue took the array stone and inspected it. She kept it in her spirit pagoda and asked, Where did you get such a big array stone? I got 4 by chance, Cho Xiaotian replied. Actually, I've always been curious about your identity. Sima Yue looked at Cho Xiaotian. Previously, I thought you were from Innumerable Green Palace. Now it seems like you're not. Who exactly are you? I'm from Middle State. I also unintentionally got involved in this matter, Cho Xiaotian said. Then you didn't try to contact your sect or think of a way to go back. Sima Yue did not understand. You just came to this continent and are not familiar with the outskirts, Cho Xiaotian said. The teleportation arrays here can't be used casually. Moreover, there are people from the Fei clan in every city and sect. They control all the teleportation arrays. How can I go back to Middle State? Sima Yue suddenly thought of something and shouted. Then we can't use the teleportation array either? Seeing Cho Xiaotian nod, she wanted to give him a good beating. She suddenly felt that she had only received 3 array stones. It was a huge loss. The 2 of them talked for about half an hour in the barrier before coming out. Cho Xiaotian was still smiling brightly while Sima Yue was a little depressed. Let's get on our way. Otherwise, it will be troublesome if the Fei clan people chase after us, Cho Xiaotian said to everyone. The Sima family looked at Sima Yue. She waved her hand and said, I'll tell you the details on the way. Let's get on our way. Chapter 452. However, before they could move, a group of people came out from Flower City. When Cho Xiaotian saw those people, his face instantly turned grave. The Fei family? Sima Yue guessed from his expression. Yes, I didn't expect them to come so quickly, Cho Xiaotian said. Looks like they've already guessed that we're in Heavenly Tiger Ridge and are preparing to look for us in Flower City. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent so many people to such a small city. It seemed like it was the right decision for them to come out. The Heavenly Tiger Ridge's teleportation array had already been repaired. Flower City could directly use the teleportation array to enter Hong City and find them. The Fei family members quickly surrounded them. Sima Yue looked around and realized that there were about 100 of them. Cho Xiaotian, you are indeed here. A middle-aged man dressed in red walked out from the back and looked at Cho Xiaotian as he spoke. I was wondering which dog it was, so it was you, Fei Wu, Cho Xiaotian said. Uffed. Sima Yue and the others burst out laughing when they heard the other party's name. Fei Wu trash. You can still laugh now, but you won't be able to laugh in a while. Fei Wu sneered. Fei Wu, last time I beat you up so badly that even your parents couldn't recognize you. You said that you spent so much effort to escape. So why did you come back to throw away your life? Cho Xiaotian exposed Fei Wu's scars without holding back at all. Humph. Do you think you can escape like last time? Fei Wu shifted his gaze away from Sima Yue and the rest. They were just a bunch of low-level deities. They were not worthy of his attention. He looked at Cho Xiaotian and said, We found out long ago that you guys were hiding in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge. It's a pity that the teleportation array there is broken. Otherwise, how could you guys be free and unfettered for so long? You and this bastard have been dealt with long ago. Lian Hong clenched his fists tightly. This was the first time someone had called him a bastard. However, he wasn't angry. When he decided to find out his identity, he had already expected such a situation. You call me a lowly bastard, but you're just a lackey of the Fei family, he retorted without backing down. Even if he couldn't win in a fight, he could still find some satisfaction in his words. Sima Yue looked at the people around her and said, "The sooner we settle this, the sooner we leave. The longer we delay, the more disadvantageous it will be for us." Chou Xiaotian also nodded and said, "Let's do it." "Ouyang, you are in charge of protecting Auntie," Sima Yue said. "The rest of you call out your sacred beasts and attack together." Sima Yulin and the others called out their sacred beasts. At the very least, they had at least 2 sacred beasts. They were densely packed beside them. The Fei family, Chou Xiaotian, and Lian Hong were shocked to see so many sacred beasts. In the primordial lands, very few people had so many sacred beasts. If the spirit beasts found out that one of their own had been contracted, it would bring about a lot of trouble. Therefore, most people would only have 1 or 2 contracted beasts. It was rare to see so many of them. Sima Yue called out Yuguang, Little Rock, Thousand Resonance and Little Roar. Chongming and Little Dream did not come out, as they would be their trump cards in the future. Seeing that she alone had 4 sacred beasts, Chou Xiaotian felt that this guy was really heaven-defying. It was right for him to have followed them out. Although Fei Wu had brought close to 100 people, most of them were at the beginner or intermediate level of the divine rank. Even though he was stronger, he had only just reached the divine overlord rank. Chou Xiaotian's strength was also at the divine overlord rank. The two of them exchanged blows the moment the battle began, and fought in the air. The Fei family had a few sacred beasts as well, but they were few in number. The others were all at the peak of the divine rank, and could not compare to Yuguang and the others. However, they had more people, and the battle lasted for close to an hour before it ended. Sima Yue and the others were slightly injured. After a round of fighting, Sima Yue led them and jumped onto Little Rock's back, saying, "Let's leave this place quickly." According to what Chou Xiaotian said, the teleportation array could not be used, so they could only take flying beasts to the innumerable Green Palace. At this time, more people came out from the city. Chou Xiaotian and the others quickly jumped onto Little Rock's back. Little Rock flapped his wings and led everyone away. "Young Master, see, they have flying beasts. What do we do?" A guard asked a handsome man. "It's our negligence." Fei Si's face darkened as he looked at the people who were getting further and further away, saying, "Go back and report to the family that Chou Xiaotian has brought that bastard out. They will definitely go to the innumerable Green Palace. They will definitely not dare to enter the city or use the teleportation array. Let the family members kill them along the way." "Yes, young Master C. Also, they have flying beasts. Don't forget this point," Fei Si instructed. "Also, send people to investigate who those people following Chou Xiaotian are. They dare to go against the Fei family and have so many sacred beasts. They should not be small characters. Your subordinate understands. Your subordinate will take his leave." The guard retreated and left. Fei Si looked at the direction that Sima Yue and the others had left in, and thought for a while. He shouted, "Men! Young Master C." 2 guards who were standing at the back stepped forward. "Send people to the 4-winged rock family. Say that someone has contracted the 4-winged rock king, and even made it his mount. Also spread the news that they have so many contracted beasts. You must spread it to those spirit beast clans." Fei Si instructed. "Yes, young Master C." Fei Si looked into the distance, his stern face expressionless. He thought of something and suddenly turned towards the city, saying, "Go to the Goshawk family." Chou Xiaotian saw that no one was chasing after them, and heaved a sigh of relief, saying, "Thank you. If it were not for them, he and Lian Hong would have been killed the moment they came out." Lian Hong was injured and ate a pill. He looked at Sima Yue gratefully, saying, "Thank you, Yue." "Yu, what the hell is going on?" Fatty Chu and the others did not know why they encountered such a situation the moment they came out. She had said that she would tell them on the way, but they were almost killed before they could leave. Sima Yue told them about Lian Hong's background, how Chou Xiaotian and the others were hiding in the Heavenly Tiger Ridge to avoid being killed, and how she had dragged them into the water. After listening, everyone stared at Chou Xiaotian and scolded him for being unkind and cunning. "Don't blame Master. He did it for me. If you want to blame someone, blame me," Lian Hong said when he saw that everyone was angry. "Lian Hong, you didn't even know that something like this would happen when you came out. How can we blame you?" Sima Yue said. They had chatted with Lian Hong in the inn and knew that he was a simple person, so they did not blame him. But there was no point in blaming Chou Xiaotian. That guy's skin was too thick. But they also knew that Chou Xiaotian and the others had no choice. Otherwise, they would not have stayed in Great City for so long. Their dangerous situation was not unrelated to Sima Yue. It was because she had repaired the teleportation array that they had no choice but to leave. Thinking of this, Sima Yue was not so angry and asked, "Where are we going now?" Chapter 453. Sea City is just ahead. Based on our current speed, we should be able to reach innumerable Green City in 10 years, if we continue in this direction. Chou Xiaotian said. PFFF. Everyone spluttered. Was this guy joking or was he joking? 10 years. How could she waste 10 years on the road? Furthermore, this was Little Rock's speed. If it were any other flying beast, it would probably take at least 15 to 16 years. And this is under the condition that there is no obstruction along the way. Chou Xiaotian said. But we don't know how many spirit beasts' territories we'll pass through, and how many people we'll encounter. Sima Yue rubbed her forehead. This was not something to be happy about. What about the Lian family? Didn't they say that Lian Hong's father was a member of the Lian clan? Does their clan not care about him? Wei Ziqi asked. His father was expelled from the family in order to be with his mother. Chou Xiaotian said. I really admire how much he values relationships. That's why I agreed when he asked me to take care of him. Then the Lian clan doesn't care about Lian Hong? Fatty Chu asked. It's already good enough that the Lian clan didn't send anyone to kill us. Chou Xiaotian smiled bitterly. I originally wanted to bring him to the central region, but I was being chased, so I had no choice but to escape to a remote place. Then does the Lian clan know of Lian Hong's existence? Sima Yue asked. He may or may not know. Chou Xiaotian said. Back then, one of his clansmen was with us, but we were separated when we were fleeing. If he survived, then the Lian family would know. If he's dead, the Lian family won't know. I think that the Lian clan would know if that clansman survived or not. Sima Yue said. The Lian clan and the Fei clan are old enemies, so they would definitely pay more attention to their matters. All these years, the Fei clan has been hunting you down quite a bit, so it's impossible for the Lian clan to not know about it. He could only say that it all depended on what the person in the Lian clan who knew about this thought. However, the Lian family hasn't done anything for so many years, so you don't have to have any hopes. Sigh, Chou Xiaotian sighed. Lian Hong lowered his head. Speaking of which, why did you bring him to Lianzhe? Sima Yue asked. This is his father's request. Chou Xiaotian looked at Lian Hong and said. Before his father died, he said that if the Lian clan could not be trusted, then he should go to the innumerable Green Palace to find his younger brother. He was definitely trustworthy. As long as he entered the innumerable Green Palace, the Fei clan would not dare to kill Lian Hong. This was because even the Fei family did not dare to make a move against the innumerable Green Palace. But in the end, we couldn't get in touch with his uncle. Sigh, things are getting a little troublesome. Sima Yue said. I haven't seen this uncle for so many years. Who knows if he's still as reliable as before? If we rush over so eagerly, it'll be troublesome if it's a road of no return. If it doesn't work, then she can only follow me to Central State, Chou Xiaotian said. Once we reach Central State, the Fei clan will not be able to do anything to us. Let's first think of a way to get to the innumerable Green Palace. Sima Yue said, 10 years. Let's not talk about how long it will be. The longer we stay outside, the more dangerous it will be. That's right. Fatty Chu agreed. The longer we stay, the more chances they will have to kill us. Who knows? The people they send might be even more powerful. However, our strength will not increase by much in a short period of time. Not bad, Fatty Chu can even analyze. Wei Ziqi laughed as he teased. TSK, I'm not just a simple-minded person. Fatty Chu used his elbow to poke Wei Ziqi, unsatisfied with his teasing. Everyone laughed as well. They were no longer as worried about the dangerous situation they were in. Sorry, I've caused trouble for everyone. I'll repay you in the future, Lian Hong suddenly said. Sima Yu knew that he was meticulous and kind. For him to be able to be like this with an old fox like Chou Xiaotian was not bad. She said with a smile, Lian Hong, you don't have to feel guilty. Your master has already paid us. Lian Hong looked at Sima Yu and knew that she was comforting him. He smiled and did not say anything, but his heart was filled with gratitude towards them. They flew for a few days, but did not meet any Fei clan members. In order to let Little Rock rest, they changed to a flying beast. This time, they thoroughly felt the vastness of the primordial lands. They flew for more than a month, but did not even see a single city. He could only see the continuous mountain range, the vast plains and the magnificent river. Just as they were rushing, Fei Si brought a few people to a mountain range. Before their flying beast landed, they were surrounded by a group of goshawks. Who are you? Fei Si stood on his flying beast and looked at the goshawks surrounding him calmly. The Fei clan's Fei Si requests an audience with the goshawk king. He has something to tell you. The Fei clan? A goshawk with a white feather on his head looked at Fei Si sharply. Seeing that he did not avoid his gaze, he said to the goshawk behind him, Go and report to the king. Yes. The goshawk flapped his wings and flew away. After a while he returned and said, The king said to bring him in. Bring him in. The white goshawk ordered. More than 10 goshawks surrounded Fei Si's flying beast and flew into the depths of the mountain range. Fei Si looked at the area where the goshawks lived and found that there were a few goshawks in each mountain range. Even the young goshawks were undergoing cruel training. After they entered the depths of the mountain range, they were not allowed to fly. Thus they landed on the ground. Fei Si kept his contracted beast, and the few of them followed the goshawks to the highest mountain. After 2 hours, they finally reached the top of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, the goshawk king, who was as tall as a small mountain, was facing the setting sun. After a while, the goshawk king stopped and turned around to ask, You are Fei Si? Fei Si bowed slightly and said, Fei Si of the Fei clan greets the goshawk king. My goshawk clan has never had any dealings with humans. What business do you have with us? The goshawk king said lightly. His arrogant attitude showed that he did not put Fei Si in his eyes. Fei Si smiled and said, I am here today to cooperate with the goshawk king. Cooperation? I don't think we have anything to cooperate with. You humans are not of the same origin as us. We have never had any dealings with each other. The goshawk king said, If this is the important matter you are talking about, you can leave now. Seeing that the Fei clan is considered a big clan, I will not pursue the matter of you trespassing on my clan's land. After the goshawk king finished speaking, 2 flies landed and were ready to take them away. Goshawk king, don't be in such a hurry to chase me away, Fei Si said confidently. You haven't heard what kind of cooperation I am talking about. After I tell you, I think you will be interested in cooperating with us. The goshawk king looked at Fei Si and said after a while, Tell me what it is first. The king of the rocks has appeared. I wonder if the goshawk king is interested in this news? Fei Si looked at the goshawk king and said. Seeing the goshawk king's expression change, he smiled with satisfaction. Chapter 454. Goshawk king stared at Fei Si, his gaze as sharp as a knife. He wanted to cut Fei Si open to see if he was lying. How do you know about the appearance of the Rock King? I saw it with my own eyes. Fei Si replied. The divine bird hasn't appeared in the world for millions of years. If the 4-winged Peng activates the Great Peng's bloodline, it will one day evolve into a Great Peng and become the king of the rocks. All other birds will submit to it. Am I right? However, although the four-winged rocks have always possessed the great rock's bloodline. And over the years, there have been a few who have had the bloodline power in their bodies, but none of them have been able to successfully activate it. In fact, over the past 10,000 years, the Great Pung bloodline in their bodies had become thinner and thinner, and there were very few Great Pung bloodlines in them. The Great Rock has not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years. The Goshawk King said, "What makes you think that the Rock King has appeared? I saw it with my own eyes." Fei Si said, "Impossible. A rock flew over and landed on the top of the mountain." It said firmly, "We have been paying attention to the four-winged rock all these years. There was no appearance of the Great Rock bloodline at all. The few that had appeared before had already been killed by them. How could there be more?" Fei Si saw that this goshawk only bowed slightly to the Goshawk King after descending, which meant that it had a very high status in the Goshawk clan. After the goshawk bowed, he glared at Fei Si and scolded, "You're just a human. How dare you come to my goshawk tribe to spout nonsense and disturb our people? Do you dare say that all the four-winged rocks are under their surveillance?" Fei Si was not afraid and said, "You should know that the four-winged rocks have known for a long time that the clansmen with the Great Rock bloodline would die of various causes. It was either you or the other bird clans that caused trouble. So when they found out that a clansman with the strongest Great Rock bloodline had appeared in their clan, they sent him to the lower realm." "How did you know about the four-winged rock?" Goshawk King asked. "That's because a few days ago, we sent the news of the four-winged rocks to the four-winged rocks. Although he didn't know which continent they had sent him to, he was back today. Furthermore, it has successfully become a sacred beast and awakened the Great Rock's blood in its body. It has already shown the characteristics of the Great Rock." Fei Si said, "Is what you said true?" "Of course. Otherwise, why would I dare to come to the Goshawk clan? Some of you should be paying attention to the news from the four-winged rocks, right? Wouldn't you know once you see what's going on over there?" Fei Si said calmly, but Goshawk King believed him. The Goshawk King looked at the goshawk that had just descended and asked, "Song Tong, what's the situation over at the four-winged rock's side?" "This month's news hasn't arrived yet," Song Tong replied. "Today is the day that the news will arrive. Then we'll wait." The Goshawk King said, "If what you said is true, then it's not impossible for us to cooperate. If you dare to deceive us, then don't even think about leaving the Goshawk clan's territory. Even if your Fei family is a big family in a state, it's nothing to my Goshawk clan. When the news comes back, the king will know if what I said is true." Fei Si didn't say anything else after he finished speaking. Everyone rested on the spot and waited for the news from outside. The sky gradually darkened. In the middle of the night, the news came back that the four-winged rock clan had made a big move. The clan elders who were in closed-door cultivation had all come out. And for some unknown reason, the originally happy elders suddenly became angry and left the clan's territory with murderous intent. One had to know that these clan elders hadn't left the clan's territory for hundreds of years. This time they left because something big must have happened. When the Goshawk King heard the news, his breathing became chaotic, causing the surrounding air to become turbulent. A strong wind blew around him, almost blowing Fei Si and the others away. "King, the most important thing now is not to be angry, but to kill it in the cradle before it completely evolves and gains the recognition of all the birds." Song Tong's feathers were blown into a mess as he said loudly. The Goshawk King's breathing slowly calmed down, and the strong wind also disappeared. However, his breathing was still chaotic. "Go and call all the clan elders out. Tell them that there's something important to discuss," the Goshawk King ordered. "Also call all the captains back. We'll discuss this together." "Yes, King." The two goshawks obeyed and left. The Goshawk King looked at Fei Si and said, "Now, let's talk about the cooperation." "Okay." After flying for 3 months, Sima Yue and the others finally saw a city. After a long discussion, Sima Yue got Cho Xiaotian and the others to wait outside the city and hide well. Then, she would enter the city to see if she could find a way to get close to the teleportation circle and steal the coordinates of other places. If she could get the coordinates of other cities, she could also set up a teleportation circle. This way they wouldn't have to fly so hard. If it wasn't for Cho Xiaotian, she could have kept everyone in the spirit pagoda. With fewer people, they would be less of a target. However, now they could only wait outside the city. Sima Yue called out 1,000 resonants and fused with him. With a shake of her body, she became a complete stranger. Then she swaggered into the city. Before she entered the city, she saw a wanted poster on the city gate. On it, there were pictures of Cho Xiaotian and Lian Hong, as well as more than 10 of them. The poster didn't say anything about Lian Hong. It only said that they had offended the Fei clan. If anyone killed them, the Fei clan would pay a certain amount of reward. Also, they would pay a certain amount of reward for information. What made Sima Yue depressed was that the person with the highest bounty was Lian Hong. The person with the second highest bounty was not Cho Xiaotian, but her. Her bounty was actually higher than Cho Xiaotian's. What kind of situation was this? If I meet anyone from the Fei clan, I must ask them properly. Why is my bounty the second highest? What kind of enmity do I have with them? She touched her chin and said, if anyone from the Fei clan heard this, they would roll their eyes. She had brought people to kill more than 100 of them. What enmity did she have with them? Did she still want her face? After reading all the information on the poster, she entered the city. When she entered the city, everyone was compared to the portraits. Previously, she had asked Cho Xiaotian. In a city like this that wasn't directly controlled by any power, the teleportation circle was usually controlled by the city lord. And the city lord was usually someone from a sect. Therefore, the teleportation circle was still controlled by the sect. After she entered the city, she found someone to ask for the location of the city lord's residence. Then, she followed the path to the courtyard beside the city lord's residence. There, the teleportation circle was being activated in an orderly manner. In the corridor of the courtyard where the teleportation circle was located, a few people wearing the Fei clan's uniform were staring at everyone who came to use the teleportation circle. Chapter 455. Sima Yue observed them carefully. Those people had to be checked by the Fei clan before they could use the teleportation array. If anyone purposely got close, they would be captured and interrogated. Looking at the situation, it was impossible for her to get close to the teleportation array to get the spatial coordinates, and Cho Xiaotian and the others would not be able to use the teleportation array. Hey, do you want to use the teleportation portal? The guard at the entrance asked when he saw Sima Yue. No, I was passing by to look for someone, but I didn't see him, so he probably hasn't arrived yet. I'll look elsewhere. Sima Yue turned around and left. After leaving the city lord's mansion, she walked around the city and checked on some other things. Then, she left the city and flew in the direction she came from. Something's not right. After entering the mountains, she asked Little Rock to stop and looked around vigilantly. Master, I seem to smell something familiar. Little Rock said, a familiar smell? Get out of the way. Sima Yue shouted before she could say anything. Little Rock's mind was connected to hers. Whenever she had a thought, he would bring her away from the original place. A ray of light came from the mountain stream and brushed past Sima Yue's hair. Master, are you all right? Little Rock asked. I'm fine. Sima Yue stood on Little Rock's back and looked down. She was worried about the safety of the others. Poochie! Suddenly, hundreds of large birds flew out from the mountain stream and forest. Upon closer inspection, they were all four-winged rocks. The information we received was indeed correct. Despicable humans, you actually made my clan into flying beasts. An old voice came from the front. Sima Yue and Little Rock looked at the densely packed four-winged rocks with a serious expression. Who are you? We are the four-winged rocks. You actually dared to treat our future king as a flying beast. You are truly too audacious. That elder said angrily. Men, capture her for me. Be careful not to hurt the king. Yes, clan elder. The surrounding four-winged rocks replied in unison and glared at Sima Yue fiercely. Which one of you dares to harm my master? Little Rock shouted and flew away from the encirclement with Sima Yue. While flying, he even attacked the four-winged rock. Those four-winged rocks didn't dare to fight back, and could only retreat. Some of the rocks had their feathers shaved off by Little Rock's attacks. When the elder saw the four-winged rock helping Sima Yue, his heart ached. King, why are you helping an outsider? We are your clansmen. I don't know you. I only know that you is my master. If you dare to harm her, I will fight you to the death. Little Rock replied. Do you even know who you are? The elder said angrily. Of course I know my identity. I am Master's contracted beast. Little Rock said. The elder almost fainted from anger. Nonsense. Nonsense. You are the king of the rocks. How can you become a human's contracted beast? Elder, don't be angry. Perhaps King didn't know his identity in the past. After all, he was sent to the lower continents when he was still in his egg. One of the rocks came forward to persuade him. Let's talk to King properly. He will understand. Let me talk to him. What a good son you gave birth to. Although the elder was angry, he told them not to make a move first. That female rocks flapped her wings and flew over. She looked at Little Rock lovingly and said, Child, don't be afraid. I am your mother. You should be able to feel the blood relationship between us. Little Rock looked at the female rocks. Although he was a little confused, he did feel that there was something different about her. He knew that this was the beast race's most direct way of judging bloodlines. You are my mother? Little Rock looked at the female rocks. He was a little emotional. So he had a mother and a clansman. Yes, you are my child. Tears fell from the female rock's eyes. She had waited a few hundred years for him to call her mother. Sima Yue patted Little Rock's back, indicating for him to put her down on the ground. Little Rock understood Sima Yue's meaning. He brought her to the top of a mountain and waited for her to come down. He stood beside her. The female rocks also flew over. When she saw Little Rock, she used her beak to peck Little Rock twice. Her eyes were filled with love. Child, I have finally waited for you to come back. The female rocks hugged Little Rock with her wings. She was very happy. Mother, what is going on? Little Rock looked at the rocks in the sky. The weakest of them was a sacred beast. If they wanted to hurt Sima Yue today, they would not be able to fight back. The female rocks looked at Little Rock, and then looked at Sima Yue. She said, I am Little Rock's mother. My clansmen call me Ninth Rock. Hi, hello. Sima Yue did not know how to address Ninth Rock. According to etiquette, she should call her aunt or auntie. However, she did not know how to address a bird like that. Ninth Rock saw Sima Yue's discomfort. A ray of light flashed, and turned into a beautiful woman. She wore a long dress made of feathers. Seeing his mother transform, Little Rock also shrunk himself to be as tall as them. Mother, why do they call me king? Little Rock asked. Ninth Rock reached out and patted Little Rock's head. She said, Because you are the king of the four-winged rocks. But, I only came up from the lower continents. Little Rock said. But you were born here. That year, we had no choice but to send you to the lower continents. Ninth Rock said. We had no choice. Didn't you guys not want me? Little Rock always thought that he was a child abandoned by his parents. Because he saw that Little Two was abandoned by his family, he thought that he was the same. We can even give up our lives for you. How could we not want you? Ninth Rock said. Then why? Ninth Rock sighed and said. It all started from 10,000 years ago. Since the god bird died 1,000,000 years ago, the king of the rocks became the Great Rock. Later on, the Great Rock also disappeared. We, who have the Great Rock bloodline, became the bird clan that had the highest chance of producing the king of the rocks. Every few years, a rock with the Great Rock bloodline would be born. However, the other bird clans were not willing to see this happen. Therefore, those rocks died before their bloodline power could be fully activated, and they could evolve into great rocks. Speaking up to here, she looked at Little Rock with pride and worry. A few hundred years ago, when you were born, there was a strange phenomenon. The clan elders determined that it was a sign of the Great Rock bloodline being born. In view of the fact that no matter how hard we tried to protect you, you would die prematurely, we decided to send you to the lower continents and not let anyone know of your existence. Who would have thought that after a few hundred years, before we even went to find you, you would come up on your own? Moreover, you have already successfully activated your bloodline power. Therefore, you are now the king of the four-winged rocks, and the future king of the rocks. Little Rock looked at his mother. He could not digest this sudden news. Chapter 456. Ninth Rock did not care if Little Rock accepted his new identity or not. She turned to Sima Yue and said, "My son's identity is noble, so he cannot be a human's contract beast. According to the clan's rules, we will forcefully break the contract and kill you to wash away the shame of being contracted. However, seeing how my son is protecting you, if you break the contract, I will let the clan not pursue this matter." "No." Before Sima Yue could say anything, Little Rock shouted first. He left Ninth Rock's side and stood in front of Sima Yue, not letting his mother hurt his master. "Child, you are the future king. Do you want to be a human's contract beast for the rest of your life?" Ninth Rock looked at Little Rock with disappointment. "I have no interest in being king. I only want to be with my master," Little Rock said, expressing his position. "Nonsense," Ninth Rock scolded. "Your identity is predestined. Look at your feathers. Look at your color. Golden feathers. Even a phoenix does not have such a color. Do you think you can give up this kind of identity just because you want it? For a human, how can you say such things? Although she is a human, she is my master. She is my family," Little Rock said. "She is the one who has accompanied me all these years. She is also the one who brought me up. If you want me to give up on her for a throne, I will not." Little Rock's attitude was firm. He looked at Ninth Rock with an unwavering gaze. If he wanted to give up on his master, that was impossible. Ninth Rock saw the way Little Rock was acting and didn't say anything to him. Instead, she looked at Sima Yue behind him, saying, "I can tell that you are a good person. As its master, don't you want it to be better?" Sima Yue's lips curled into a smile. This Ninth Rock was smart. Seeing her son so determined, she did not directly go against him. Instead, she tried to find a way to break through. She looked at Little Rock's protective figure and said, "As long as it is what Little Rock wants, I will support it. If he wants to be king, I will let him be king. If he wants to be by my side, I will keep him by my side." Her voice was not loud, but it showed her determination and her attitude. Little Pung turned around and looked at Sima Yue. His round eyes filled with gratitude. He knew that his master would not abandon him. Ninth Rock's face darkened. From her point of view, this was Sima Yue's excuse. She only said this because she heard Little Rock say that he was unwilling to leave her. "Human, it is because you are the master of my child that we are so polite to you. If you don't listen to us and our clansmen get angry, you and your friends won't have a good ending," Ninth Rock said. As she spoke, she pointed behind Sima Yue. "You captured our friends." Sima Yue turned around and saw the four-winged rocks holding Sima Yulin and the others in their claws. As long as they used their strength, everyone would be torn into two. The four-winged rock's claws were the most powerful. She had once seen Little Rock tear apart a sea beast with a single claw. At that time, it was only a divine beast. Thinking of Sima Yulin and the others' current situation, her aura turned cold. "If you dare to hurt my family, I will definitely make you regret it." Ninth Rock saw the way Sima Yue was acting and was slightly stunned. Her gaze made her believe that what she said was true. "If you are willing to break the contract with my son, I will let them go." Ninth Rock said, "Actually, I am doing this for your own good. If we wait for the clan elders to come, they will definitely kill you. We have a secret method to break the contract without hurting my son. However, you must die. I am doing this for my son's sake. I don't want him to be sad, so I want to let you live." Sima Yue looked at Ninth Rock, then looked at the 104-winged rocks in the sky and Sima Lai and the others below them. This was the first time she felt troubled. Did she really have to give up on Little Rock? No, Little Rock was already her family. How could she give up on Little Rock? However, if she really fought the four-winged rocks, what would her grandfather and the others do? "Didn't you say that I am your king? Then I will ask you to let everyone go." Little Rock said, "You have to leave her before you can become our king." The clan elders came down one by one and turned into human form. Most of them were old and decrepit. Wind Rock looked at Little Rock and said, "We cannot accept our king as a human's contracted beast. That is why you have to break the contract with her before you have the right to become our king." "I already said that I have no interest in becoming your king," Little Rock said. "Since I don't want to be king, you have to let me go and let me be with Master." "No way," Wind Rock said. "The blood of the great rock flows in your body. You are destined to be our king. This is something that cannot be changed. Even if you don't want to, you have to be. If you are not willing to break the contract, then we will do it ourselves. At that time, whether or not we can keep this human's life will depend on whether or not he has the luck to survive." "You are going too far." Sima Yue was enraged as well. They used the excuse that Little Rock had the blood of the great rock and wanted him to return to be their king. However, they did not place Little Rock in the same position as he should have. "So what if we are going too far? You are just a human who has just advanced to God rank. What right do you have to be my four-winged rock's master? I will give you one last choice. Do you want to break the contract, or do you want to die with them?" Wind Rock's attitude was much more arrogant than Ninth Rock's. He did not even look her in the eye. At the same time, he released his own pressure. Sima Yue felt as if she was being pressed down by a mountain. She was unable to breathe, and fresh blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. His strength was so high. She had always been more resistant to pressure. However, she was still forced to spit out blood. How long had it been since something like this happened? Little Rock saw that Sima Yue was injured and wanted to attack Wind Rock. However, he found that he could not move. In a moment of desperation, he shouted, "If you dare to make a move against Master, I will kill myself. I will let you see the blood of the great rock, but you will not be able to obtain it. Then you will still have to kill yourself," Wind Rock said. Then, he ordered the people beside him, "Go and use a secret technique to break their contract." Clan Elder. Ninth Rock looked at Little Rock worriedly. She was afraid that he would really do something extreme. He is currently being affected by the contract. Once he regains his freedom, he will naturally thank us. Wind Rock said, "Go quickly." Sima Yue's body was being pressed down to the point that she was about to kneel down. Hearing Wind Rock's words, she glared at him fiercely and said, "Don't even think about it. Go." "Yes, Clan Elder." Two middle-aged men walked towards Sima Yue. One of them reached out and grabbed Sima Yue's head. The other hand was about to poke between her eyebrows. Just as he touched her eyebrows, a golden light was emitted from Yue's body. The person who was grabbing onto Sima Yue was sent flying. Chapter 457. Seeing that golden light, all the rocks present wanted to submit from the bottom of their hearts. A kind of bloodline power that was even higher than the great rocks made them tremble from the bottom of their souls. The golden light dissipated, and Qi Yin appeared in front of Sima Yue. Seeing the blood at the corner of her mouth, he frowned and scolded. "Why didn't you call me out?" Wind Rock's pressure disappeared the moment Crimson Flame appeared. Sima Yue stood up and wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth. She took out a pill and ate it before saying, "I saw that you were in a deep sleep and wanted to call you when I couldn't take it anymore." Crimson Flame looked at Sima Yue. Was it because he didn't come out often, that he didn't have a presence? This girl was his contracted master, but she didn't have the habit of relying on him. This was what he had hoped to see in the past. Now that he saw it, he felt uncomfortable in his heart. At that time, she was still so weak and had just started cultivating. He was afraid that she would become too reliant on him and lose her motivation after knowing his strength. After getting along with her, he realized that no matter how good her external conditions were, they could not stop her from moving forward. He sighed in his heart and turned around to look at Wind Rock and the others. Without saying anything, he placed his hands behind his back and released his aura. The spirit beasts in the mountains only felt a pressure that went deep into their souls. The four-winged rocks that were flying in the sky all fell from the sky. Not only that, even the other birds in the mountains knelt down in submission. This is... Wind Rock looked at Crimson Flame in shock. He couldn't control his body and knelt down. Only Little Rock, who was also Sima Yu's contracted beast like Crimson Flame, was barely able to stand. However, his heart was filled with the desire to submit to him, as if submitting to him was something that he was born with. Cho Xiaotian and the rest took the opportunity to escape when the four-winged rock landed. He looked at Sima Yue in shock. He did not expect her to have such a contracted beast. Was she really someone who came up from below? How could she have so many contracted beasts? And all of them were so powerful. Little Rock being the king of the rocks was already shocking enough. Now that this one had appeared, it was obvious that she was even more powerful. Crimson Flame arrogantly looked at Wind Rock and the others, saying faintly, "Is my contracted master someone you can touch?" As he spoke, he increased the pressure on Wind Rock, causing him to be unable to withstand it. He reverted to his original form and prostrated himself on the ground. "This isn't the aura of a great rock. You're a divine bird." Another elder cried out. Sima Yue blinked, not knowing what they were talking about. She looked at Qi Yan. She hadn't seen his real body yet. Qi Yan looked at her curious gaze and said, "You want to see my real body? I want to understand you." Sima Yue said that she didn't even know what her contracted beast looked like. She was probably the only person in the entire continent who was so embarrassed. "All right." Qi Yan smiled at her. With a wave of his hand, the area within a radius of 10 miles was covered by a barrier. Then, he leaped into the air and transformed into his original form. A fiery red bird appeared in front of everyone. This is a phoenix." Lian Heng looked at Qi Yan, who was flying in the air, and said in a daze. Cho Xiaotian swallowed his saliva and said, "This isn't a phoenix. This should be one of the legendary 4 ancient mythical beasts, the divine bird Vermilion Bird." He felt as if he couldn't breathe. He actually saw the legendary Vermilion Bird. This was too inconceivable. Sima Yue was also stunned when she saw Qi Yan's appearance. She had once read about the Vermilion Bird in an ancient book. There was only one in the entire world. Once the divine bird appeared, all other birds would submit to it. Four-winged Rock and the others were completely petrified. The divine bird that hadn't appeared in millions of years had actually appeared today. Moreover, it shared a contracted master with Little Rock. If it was Little Rock, they could still force him to break the contract with Sima Yue. They could even go against his wishes. However, in front of the divine bird, they were all ants. Just as he said, they didn't have the right to make a move against Sima Yue. His contracted master status was far higher than theirs. Qi Yan circled around in the air and flew towards Sima Yue. When he landed beside her, he was once again that peerless man. "We didn't know that this was our king's contracted master. We have offended you. Please forgive us." Wind Rock laid on the ground and said in a trembling voice. Qi Yan looked at Wind Rock, and a ball of flame appeared in his hand. Feeling the temperature of the flame, Wind Rock and the others' eyes were filled with deep fear. "Master." Little Rock looked at Sima Yue with a pleading look in his eyes. Sima Yue patted Little Rock's head and said, "Qi Yan, since they are Little Rock's clansmen, let them go. Anyway, I'm not that badly injured. If you kill them, Little Rock will be sad." Wind Rock and the others didn't think that Sima Yue would speak up for them. They wanted to kill her just now. Lifting their heads, they saw the love in her eyes as she looked at Little Rock. Only then did they understand that she was doing this for Little Rock's sake. She just didn't want him to be sad. This meant that when she said that she would follow Little Rock's wishes, it was true. Ninth Rock looked at Sima Yue and felt a little sad. She knew that she had to follow Little Rock's wishes and give him what he truly wanted. Why was she, as a mother, not as good as a human? Moreover, Little Rock was more dependent on Sima Yue. They looked more like a family. Sima Yue saw Ninth Rock's gaze and patted Little Rock's head and said, "Go and help your mother up." Little Rock nodded and flapped his wings to Ninth Rock's side and said, "Mother, I really don't want to be separated from Master. Don't force me. Mother, please get up." Ninth Rock supported Little Rock's wings and stood up. She really didn't feel Qi Yan's pressure anymore. She touched Little Rock's face and said, "Mother won't force you. You can do whatever you want as long as you're happy. The four-winged rock clan didn't know what to say. With Chi Yin here, how could they dare to force Sima Yue and Little Rock? You all should get up too, Sima Yue said. Wind Rock and the others saw that Chi Yin didn't object and stood up. They didn't know what to say in front of the king of birds. In the end, it was Wind Rock who spoke. We apologize for our actions just now. Actually, we did this to protect him. If those bird clans knew of his existence, they would definitely do their best to kill him. Those clans? Sima Yue frowned. Since the four-winged rock and the others had received news of Little Rock, then those other bird clans must have also received news. If they didn't clarify things, then there would be a lot of trouble in the future. Who? Chi Yin asked. 7 to 8 bird clans with the Goshawk clan as the main one. They all have the idea of ruling the entire bird clan. Our children who died prematurely were all killed by them. Wind Rock replied. Master, I want to transform. Little Rock suddenly said. Everyone looked at Little Rock. They didn't know why he would have such a thought at this time. Chapter 458. They were talking about goshawks, so why did he suddenly want to transform? Little Peng saw that everyone was looking at him. Only then did he realize that his voice had been too loud and had interrupted their conversation. Ahem, you guys continue. Sima Yue understood Little Peng's intentions and smiled. Wind Rock saw that Crimson Flame did not speak and continued. The Goshawk clan has developed better than the other clans these few years, so they are becoming more and more powerful. There are already many bird clans under them. It is also because of this that their ambitions have been fostered. What about the Phoenix clan? Did they not care about the internal strife of the bird clan? Crimson Flame asked. The Phoenix clan has always been living in the middle and inner regions. They don't care about the outer regions. Wind Rock said. Furthermore, we also received news that Goshawk obtained the support of one of the Phoenix's branches. Phoenixes had the bloodline of the vermilion bird, so they looked quite similar to the vermilion bird. In the entire bird race, the Phoenix race had the highest status. Of course, if a great rock was born, they would have to submit to the great rock's might. However, there had always been only one great rock, while the Phoenix was indeed a race. There was no way to compare their strengths. Hearing them mention Phoenix, Sima Yue thought of Rainbow. Back then it was sent to the surface by Chongming. After so many years, she knew how it was doing now. After Crimson Flame heard Wind Rock's words, he said to Sima Yue, It's not convenient for me to appear in front of the world right now. Help me deal with these matters. Me. Sima Yue pointed at her own nose and said, Even though you are my contracted beast, my strength is limited. How can I settle this for you? And him. Crimson Flame looked at Little Rock. Sima Yue immediately understood what Crimson Flame meant. When Crimson Flame wasn't around, Little Rock was the king of birds. Crimson Flame wanted her and Little Rock to deal with it. But Little Rock's bloodline power hasn't been fully activated yet. She said, The other bird clans won't recognize him. Doesn't he want to transform? Then when he goes through the lightning tribulation, help him open up all his blood vessels. Crimson Flame said. Sima Yue looked at Little Rock and said, Not now. I need to prepare. Crimson Flame nodded and said, Then we'll talk when you're ready. I wonder what contract master is preparing. Do you need our help? Wind Rock asked. No need. Sima Yue said, Just make sure your people don't attract too much attention. The Peng wind allowed those who could transform to transform, and those who couldn't transform to mimic. The valley that was originally densely covered by the four-winged rocks suddenly became spacious and empty. Crimson Flame returned to the Spirit Pagoda, and Little Rock was pulled aside by Wind Rock and the others to talk. Sima Yue went down from the mountain peak and came to the mountain stream to meet up with Sima Lai and the others. Grandpa, are you all right? Sima Yue saw that their clothes were torn by the claws of the four-winged rocks. She was afraid that they were injured as well. Don't worry, those are just superficial wounds. Sima Lai said, We just used some pills and the wounds have already scabbed over. That's good then. Sima Yue said. Yue, is Crimson Flame really the primordial divine vermilion bird? Sima Yue asked. Sima Yue nodded. Oh my god, this is simply too frightening. Fatty Chu said. This scared my little heart so much that it's jumping up and down. Your two contracted beasts are too amazing. Sima Yue didn't think that she would encounter such a thing after leaving for a while. Thinking about what she had promised Crimson Flame, she felt that the burden on her shoulders had become even heavier. However, why did he say that it wasn't convenient for him to appear in front of the world? Yue, are your injuries all right? Bei Gong Tang didn't forget that she had been injured by Wind Rock's pressure. It's nothing serious. It's already much better, Sima Yue said. Looking at Cho Xiaotian, she said apologetically, we have some matters that will delay us for a while. No rush. In any case, we're not in a rush, Cho Xiaotian said. He looked at the four-winged rocks that filled the valley, and the shock in his heart continued. At the same time, he was excited. If the four-winged rocks were to escort them, they wouldn't have to worry about their safety on the way to the innumerable Green Palace. What do you want to do? Sima Yulin asked. Little Rock wants to transform. Crimson Flame said that he would help him activate his bloodline power when he transforms. I want to refine some pills just in case. I'll also refine some for 1,000 resonance, and the others, so that they can transform together. Sima Yue said. Let's wait until your injuries are healed. Tell me what you want to refine. I'll help you refine it, Bei Gong Tang said. Okay, Sima Yue said. In any case, you can refine those pills. I'll give you the ingredients in a while. Okay, Bei Gong Tang nodded. Sima Yue looked at Fatty Chu, saying, Fatty, I need a few lightning-resistant spirit tools for them to use when they transform. Do you know what to refine? I do. You've already told me so many times. I'll definitely refine them for you, Fatty Chu said. Your rank isn't high enough yet. Just refine a few more. If we don't have enough quality, we'll just have to make up for it, Sima Yue said. After that, she looked at Sima Yulin. Before she said anything, Sima Yulin said, I'll set up an array to help them resist the lightning tribulation. Sima Yue smiled. I'll have to trouble you. Okay, let's begin then, Fatty Chu said, as he went to choose a flat area. He took out his tools and began to refine them. Sima Yulin called out his flying beast and flew into the air to observe the terrain. He was prepared to use the terrain to set up a large array. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang were discussing what pills they needed to refine. Just the recovery pills were not enough. As for Sima Lai and the others, they seemed to be used to it. Each of them was cultivating at the side or cooking. Cho Xiaotian, Lian Hong and Wei Ziqi were together. They watched him cook, occasionally glancing at Sima Yue and the others. Who would have thought that apart from Sima Yue, who was an alchemist and an array master, they actually had an armament master and an array master in their group? With so many sacred beasts and so many different professions, he guessed that not many people from the lower realms would have this kind of power, right? If they were to say who was the beast tamer master now, he would not be surprised. In the next 2 days, Sima Yue and the others had been preparing. As for Little Rock, Ninth Rock and the others, they understood the situation of the bird clans above and understood the heavy responsibility on their shoulders. As for Ninth Rock and the others, they also found out about Sima Yue from Little Rock. After hearing about her, they were extremely shocked. There was actually someone like her among the humans. With this talent and strength, it was not too much to ask for her to be Little Rock's contracted master. However, the four-winged rocks had always been a high and mighty existence. Now that they knew that their king had been contracted by a human, although this person was very strong, they still felt uncomfortable. 2 days later, Sima Yue waved at Little Rock and the others. They flew into the valley and landed beside her. The preparations have been completed. We can transform any time, Sima Yue said. Chapter 459. Hearing Sima Yue's words, Ninth Rock clenched her fists and looked at Little Rock worriedly. She had also experienced the transformation lightning tribulation, so she naturally knew how terrifying it was. There were so many sacred beasts in the primordial lands. The reason why many of them, did not want to transform was because the lightning tribulation was too powerful. Seeing the sacred beasts fail to transform and turn into ashes in the end, everyone was terrified. Mother, don't worry. You can trust me. Little Pung comforted her. Yes, you have to do your best. Ninth Rock knew that this was something it had to go through, so she did not say anything to dissuade it. Sima Yue said to Wind Rock, I'll have to trouble Clan Elder to ask the others to leave this place. All right. Wind Rock waved his hand, and all the 4 winged rocks flew out of the valley, leaving the area that Sima Yue said. Sima Yue looked at Sima Lai and the rest. They were all sitting on their flying beasts, far away from the area where the lightning tribulation could appear. Mother, you should leave too, Little Rock said to the unwilling Ninth Rock. I'll be fine. Yes. Ninth Rock touched Little Rock reluctantly and prepared to leave. Seeing that Sima Yue was still there, she said, Let me take you away. I'll stay behind with Little Rock. Sima Yue said, We have a contract, we can fight against the lightning tribulation together. Ninth Rock was taken aback. It was unknown what she was thinking as she said, Thank you. After saying that, she transformed into her true form, spread her wings and flew away. When everyone was far away, Sima Yue said, Let's start. Chongming, come out and teach Little Pung how to trigger the lightning tribulation. The appearance of Chongming made Cho Xiaotian, who was far away, shocked. How did this guy have a contract beast? Other than these, she couldn't possibly have more, right? Chongming taught Little Rock how to activate the qi in his body. Little Rock tried to follow Chongming's instructions and found some dark clouds floating in the sky. As he sped up, the speed at which the dark clouds formed in the sky also sped up. When Sima Yue saw that it was about time, she kept the Chongming and activated the array. She took out the things that Fatty Chu had refined and put them on herself and Little Rock. She then took out the pills that she had refined and put some in Little Rock's mouth. She also kept some for herself in case of emergencies. In the distance, Wei Ziqi and the rest were observing the situation of the tribulation clouds. Seeing that the dark clouds were still condensing, he said worriedly, Why are these dark clouds still condensing? From the looks of it, it's already much bigger than Chongming's tribulation cloud, and it's still growing. Could it be that Little Rock's tribulation cloud is much stronger than Chongming's? Fatty Chu was also worried. Will Yue and the rest be all right? When Chongming transformed, it was in the Yilan continent. That place was suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth. The tribulation clouds were not as powerful as the ones above. Furthermore, because Little Rock's bloodline is slightly higher, I heard that the higher the bloodline, the more powerful the transformation lightning tribulation. Ouyang Fei said. Furthermore, Little Rock wants to use the lightning tribulation to activate the power of his bloodline. I'm afraid that there will be unforeseen events later on, Bei Gong Tang said. Ninth Rock and the rest were even more worried. They had never seen this kind of tribulation cloud before. It was even more powerful than when they transformed. Sima Yue looked at the tribulation cloud in the sky and furrowed her brows. Looking at the situation, the lightning tribulation this time would not be easy to pass. Could it be that the tribulation cloud has felt the power of the great rock's bloodline in your body? That's why it's so powerful. She looked at the tribulation cloud that was still growing in size and could not help but twitch her mouth. It was a good thing that they had done quite a bit of preparation this time. If they had directly faced the tribulation, they would have been completely destroyed. Just as the lightning was about to fall, Crimson Flame came out and flicked a drop of golden blood at Little Rock. Little Rock opened his mouth and directly sucked the blood in. Use the power of the lightning to catalyze it. After saying this, he returned to the spirit pagoda. Sima Yue was speechless. This guy didn't even greet her when he came out and went in. Zizi. The lightning made a sound in the sky, but did not fall. It was as if it was tormenting their hearts. The commotion here had attracted quite a few people. Many people were sitting on flying beasts and rushed over. They wanted to see what kind of spirit beast had transformed to cause such a huge commotion. Seeing that more and more people were rushing over, Cho Xiaotian's expression became ugly. Their whereabouts would definitely be exposed like this. As expected, he saw a few people gather together to discuss after seeing them. After that, a few people quickly left. However, he guessed that the Fae clan would not dare to directly go against Sima Yue and the rest. As long as Little Rock passed the lightning tribulation and completely activated the power of his bloodline, he would become a great rock. He would be able to command more than one race of birds. The Fae clan would not dare to take this risk. Sima Yue did not have the energy to pay attention to what was happening outside. All of her attention was on the sky. It was a good thing that when she got Sima Yulin to set up the array, she thought of this and added a protective array inside. This way, others would not be able to enter and increase the intensity of the lightning tribulation. It's coming down. Sima Yue said, "The lightning at the beginning will not be very strong. You have to experience it yourself. It can activate your bloodline and improve your physique. I will go with you later." Okay. Little Rock replied and prepared himself to face it alone. The people who had come to watch were extremely shocked when they saw Sima Yue and Little Rock standing together. Is that the spirit beast's contract master? What is he doing inside? Is he going to go through the tribulation with the spirit beast? Is this person crazy? He's actually going through the tribulation with the spirit beast? I've never seen someone like this. Isn't he afraid of being struck to death by lightning? That's right. If the spirit beast is struck to death, it can still contract another one. But if this person is struck to death, there will be nothing left. Isn't that so? This person, I don't know if he's really stupid, or if he's too nice to his contract beast. This lightning tribulation is a little too big. Someone finally realized that something was wrong. It seems like it. Isn't this a four-winged rock? I've never seen such a big commotion before. It's definitely a higher bloodline. I heard that the four-winged rock has the bloodline of the great rock. Could it be? It's possible. Look, its feathers are golden yellow. Zap dash. While everyone was discussing, the first bolt of lightning was finally ready and struck towards Little Rock. When the lightning struck the teleportation array, some of the lightning energy was absorbed by the array and sent to the ground, neutralizing a portion of its power. When it landed on Little Rock's body, Fatty Chew's lightning protection clothes also took effect and blocked out a portion of the lightning. The rest of the lightning entered Little Rock's body, and the pain instantly tore at his nerves. The drop of golden blood in his mouth turned into an ancient aura and swam around his body that was being ravaged by the lightning. Little Rock could feel that wherever the aura passed, his blood seemed to be boiling. Very quickly, the second bolt of lightning struck, and the lightning protection clothes on Little Rock's body were destroyed. However, it blocked out a lot of the lightning. Boom! Little Rock felt as if something in his body had awakened. He raised his head and cried out. The aura he emitted shocked all the birds present. Chapter 460. Other than the four-winged rocks, there were many other birds who had come to watch the show. Among them were the goshawks who had heard the news. After sensing Little Rock's aura, the bird clan was shocked, while the goshawk clan's faces all darkened. No matter how hard he tried, he was still a step too late. Now that Little Rock had completely awakened the Great Rock bloodline, it could be said that he was now a great rock and no longer a four-winged rock. As long as he could survive the lightning tribulation, he would be the king of rocks. When Goshawk saw the four-winged rock's agitated state, he said coolly, "It's still unknown whether or not it can pass the manifestation lightning tribulation. It would be best if he was struck by lightning." Captain, look, the tribulation clouds are changing. A transformed goshawk looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky and said happily. Everyone looked up and saw that the tribulation cloud had stopped sending down lightning. Furthermore, it had increased its power once again. The dark clouds grew larger and denser, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. F***CK. Luckily I didn't choose to transform back then. If this lightning struck me, I would have turned into a roasted bird. It was unknown who said this, but the onlookers all laughed. Bei Gong Tang and the others rolled their eyes at those people. As expected, they were just here to watch the show. They could still laugh at a time like this. Sima Yue took out a new lightning protection cloak and put it on Little Rock's body. At this moment, he was still evolving and was lying on the ground, unable to move. Master! Little Rock raised his head and looked at Sima Yue. At this moment, he wasn't as successful as everyone thought. His body was undergoing tremendous changes, and he didn't have the strength to resist the lightning tribulation. If he was alone, 2 more lightning bolts would have turned him into ashes. Sima Yue patted his head and comforted him. Don't worry, just focus on evolving. Leave the rest to me. You can replace me when you're done. After saying that, she stood up and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. Pa! The tribulation cloud seemed to have sensed Sima Yue's provocation, as a bolt of lightning struck down. Sima Yue leaped up and condensed her spiritual energy to attack. When she landed on the ground again, her body was already covered with electricity. The pain in her body made her kneel on one knee. She quickly mobilized the spiritual power in her body and let the electricity flow through her meridians into her body. She transformed it into lightning spiritual power and floated into her dantian, where it lay dormant. When she discovered that the lightning attribute spiritual power had increased quite a bit after entering the pool, she exclaimed, "It actually increased so quickly. Then, if he absorbed a little more, would he be able to advance?" Furthermore, after absorbing the electric current into the dantian, the pain in my body has decreased by a lot. Thinking of this, she stood up and took off the lightning protection clothing on her body. She faced the lightning tribulation alone. "Yue, what are you trying to do?" Fatty Chu shouted. "She'll lose her life like this." Sima Lai and the others were also very worried. How could she take off her lightning protection robe? The power of the lightning will only get stronger and stronger. "Grandfather, don't worry. Fifth Bro has always done things appropriately. He won't act recklessly." Sima Yuran comforted him. However, his tightly clenched fists also showed the worry in his heart. Ninth Rock and the others never thought that Sima Yue would be able to receive the heavenly lightning. While they were shocked by her strength, they were also relieved. With her around, Little Rock's chances of passing the lightning tribulation would be much higher. Seeing Yue take off her lightning protection robe, she was also surprised. However, after interacting with her for the past 2 days, she believed that Yue was not a reckless person. She must have her own reasons for doing this. Zap dash, Sima Yue received another bolt of lightning. This time, she mobilized her spiritual power from the start and absorbed the lightning directly into her body. Although her entire body was in pain the moment it entered her body, and she fell to the ground because of it, the effect was not bad. The lightning was absorbed into her dantian. Lightning struck, absorbed, struck again, absorbed again. Sima Yue did not know how many times she was struck by lightning. Her body only moved mechanically. What she didn't know was that, including the 2 bolts that Little Rock had received, there were already 40 bolts of lightning. If it wasn't for the fact that she had absorbed the power of the lightning, she would have long been struck into pieces. Even so, her current situation was not optimistic, because every time the electricity in her body was not completely sent to her dantian, she would receive another bolt of lightning. More and more lightning remained in her body. If this continued, even if she did not die from the lightning, her body would explode. She raised her head and looked at the dark clouds. This time, half an hour had already passed, and it still had not descended. This meant that the lightning this time was even more powerful. She had already eaten more than half of the pills that she had refined. Her body was about to fall apart from the injuries. The array had also been completely destroyed by the previous few bolts of lightning, and was no longer of any use. She did not know if she would be able to receive another bolt of lightning this time. Suddenly, an even more ancient aura came from Little Rock's body. Compared to the aura at the beginning, this aura caused the rocks to tremble. Right now, he had truly completed his evolution and become a great rock. Little Rock moved his body, and the lightning protection robe on his body fell off. Only then did everyone see his current appearance. His 4 wings had turned into 2 wings, and all the feathers on his body had turned pure gold. It was not like the faint gold from before. His feathers were all shining with a sharp light. This meant that every feather was a powerful weapon. Golden-winged great rock. "Master, leave the rest to me." Little Rock's voice sounded even more mature. He stood up and looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. There was not a trace of fear in his eyes. Sima Yue saw Little Rock's current appearance and smiled. She nodded and said, "All right, you still have to go through your tribulation in the end. Only then will you be able to understand the heavenly Tao." Moreover, she did not have the strength to receive another bolt of lightning. Little Rock looked at her with gratitude and heartache. He lowered his head and picked up the huge lightning protection robe. He placed it on her body and said, "Master, just watch me go through the tribulation." "All right." Seeing Little Rock's confident appearance, she smiled. She crossed her legs and changed to cultivation mode. She tried to control and guide the lightning energy in her body so that it would not run amok in her body. However, the moment she entered cultivation mode, the lightning attribute spiritual energy from the tribulation also swarmed in, increasing the burden on her body. Right now, not only did she have to convert the lightning energy into lightning attribute spiritual energy, she also had to guide the lightning attribute spiritual energy that she had just absorbed into her body into her dantian. Woo! Her internal organs were injured by the lightning energy. She had been suppressing it all this while. Now that she relaxed, blood kept flowing out from the corner of her mouth. There were many cracks on the surface of her body. Her entire body was soaked in blood. She looked as if she had been fished out of a pool of blood. Feeling the injuries on her body, she had no choice but to retreat. She took out a pill and ate it. However, the lightning attribute spiritual energy and lightning energy in her body became even more violent, worsening her injuries. Damn! Don't tell me that the lightning didn't kill me and now I can't take it anymore? You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.